disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well, welcome everybody to another boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is your good friend Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we do have a fantastic one for you, because we've got two, and I do mean two big fights coming up this Saturday. Well, actually, Friday and Saturday. We've got Venado Lopez fighting on Friday, and then Wiilliam and Cepeda fighting on Saturday. So should be a nice little change of schedule there, having a Friday night fight just like we had last Friday. So we're going to be talking about that, some of the YouTube drama and Twitter drama also that's being occurring between fighters that love to talk about how they're going to fight each other, and then ultimately they never end up fighting each other. So we're going to be talking about that plus more, right, fellas? We will be opening up the phone lines possibly sooner rather than later. Depends on how everything goes, so stay tuned for that one. Before we get down to the fun, fellas, you know the drill. Let's get the business out of the way. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature. Well, it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. The most important thing is you continue to hit the like, subscribe, spread that BDA gospel, all right? There's a lot of uninitiated out there whose lives and souls require saving. So shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Warped Speed in there. Shout out to Warped Speed, Uriah Smith, Never Sobers in the house as well. Shout out to Never Sobers, Jump Tube, Super Sardonic, Sam Rando, Eric Gomez, who says, can you yell Bomb Squad to revive the AJ versus my King Wilder fight? I don't know if you saw Eric, but Wilder's been, he's a jack of all trades. He was in a video that I saw, somebody posted on the Discord, and he's in the studio spitting some rhymes. No, actually, not even rhymes. He was actually singing. You could obviously hear the auto-tune in the background there working its magic, but nevertheless, it was Wilder showing you his pipes. So good for you. He sounded like a regular Marvin Gaye, let me tell you. Hopefully his father's not a cross-dresser and, shoots him in the middle of a kitchen. But be that as it may, shout out to Deontay Wilder as well. Why not? Let's give him a shout out. Shout out to Alfredo Contreras, Super Sardonic, the Quags in there as well. Shout out to the Quags, the Gucci Berserk, a little Jazzin, Dark Hey Dog, OG Blaze, Uncle Pete in the house as well, Sergeant Skeletor 1, the Don in the house as well, Eudes Hernandez. How many more people to come? I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about some of the fights that are going to be taking place this Friday and Saturday. On Friday, via ESPN, we've got Luis Alberto El Venado Lopez taking on Joet Gonzalez. 12 rounds for Lopez's, he's got the IBF Featherweight title. Nice little undercard, too. You got Xander Zayas, Puerto Rico's great hope. Him and Shakur Stevenson leading the pack. Then you got Emiliano Fernando Vargas is going to be fighting. Conceição is fighting in an 8-rounder. How the mighty have fallen. Pollo Aguilar is going to be fighting as well in an 8-rounder. Jermaine Ortiz returns. It's almost a year since he's been off. Last time we saw him, he was giving Lomachenko the work. And Ruben Villa also fights on the undercard. So we got a couple of recognizable names. The guys they're fighting might not be as recognizable, but hey, at least they're keeping him active, so why not? But it's really the main event that we're looking forward to in that one, and that is, of course, Venado Lopez versus Joet Gonzalez. Joet Gonzalez lays down for nobody. I mean nobody. This guy, he gives it his all in all his fights. Will that be enough to beat Venado Lopez? But I tell you what, it's not just the fight itself that's intriguing, it's the aftermath. There are things at stake here for Venado Lopez, and one of those is, of course, that in the same division that Lopez is fighting in, you get another tough guy. And tough, not just because he's tough mentally, but also physically. He's got a lot of gifts and skills, and that is Robesi Ramirez. Now, Lopez, you will note here, I don't want to talk too much about the Ramirez fight because he's got to get past Joet Gonzalez first, which is not a given. But Luis Alberto Lopez is 30 years old. So if Top Rank is going to do something with this kid, they got to do it now, pronto. Especially at this weight, featherweights, they tend to age badly. Just, for lack of a better term. The last time we saw him was in May when he knocked out Michael Conlon, and now he's taking on Joet Gonzalez. Now Ramirez is no spring chicken either. He's 29 years of age, 1 year younger. But, actually, he is a spring chicken. He's right in his prime. Doesn't have a lot of fights either because he's been fast-tracked. He's a gold medalist. He's the guy that made Shakur Stevenson cry at the Olympics. 13 wins, 8 knockouts, 1 loss, which he avenged. So it's a nice, interesting fight right there that they could potentially make if Lopez wins. I'm telling you, man, I'm very interested in this fight. Very interested in this fight. We shall see what happens. Let me invite a couple of people here. Start cooking with a little hot grease, as they say. Let's turn the stove on. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight because Joet Gonzalez, he always brings it. He's well conditioned. He's tough. He knows how to fight on the inside. He resembles what's his name? If you want to talk about common opponents, he looks a little bit like Josh Warrington, or he fights a little bit like Josh Warrington. Aggressive. He comes to fight, gives it his all. So, but Joet Gonzalez, I will say, actually hits harder, maybe just a tad harder than, what's his name? Josh Warrington. But I will say maybe Josh Warrington is a little stronger physically, harder to move, harder to push back, and maybe, he pushes. By the way, he comes in with his head so much, man. I was rewatching the Venado Lopez fight. This guy was coming in with that big old head of his, big British head. I mean, there's nothing worse than a big white British head coming at you. I know Tim Bradley had the big black head coming at you, and it's bald too, so it's almost like... Actually, I'd rather get headbutted by a baldy than by a guy with hair, because the hair, I have to assume, might actually just cut more. I don't know. I'm just speculating over here. But nevertheless, Venado Lopez will be up against it. I tell you what I like about Venado Lopez. He's not just this wild puncher. He is a little bit wild. He's unorthodox to a certain extent, but I think as he proved in the Conlon fight, there's a method to his madness, a little bit like fellow Mexican Navarrete. You look at him and, he doesn't really jab that much. He's got his hands low. He leaps in with his shots without really setting them up with a jab. So you think, okay, he's badly schooled, he's going to get exposed. But so far, he makes it work. If you rewatch the Conlon fight, he was setting Conlon up nicely. I mean, he set him up nicely for the uppercut that ended up knocking him out. Because what's going on with him is he can anticipate where his opponent is going to be. And I've talked with Gonzalo about this a lot too. He has good hand-eye coordination to be able to pull off what he's doing. I see we got Never Sobers jumping here. Never Sobers, are you there?
What's up, BDA? I thought when you said, when you're talking about fellow Mexican, I thought you were going to lead into introducing me with that one.
Wait, you're Mexican?
No, bro, but, people think I am.
I thought you were Puerto Rican or something. How many Mexicans? Is there a big Mexican population in where you're at in Georgia? The gateway to the south? Okay.
Yeah, brother. There's a good amount. Not when I was a kid, but now there's a fair amount.
Interesting. All right. Well, listen, good to have a fellow Mexican here, and I'm talking about Venado Lopez, and I'm just breaking down the fact that he has skills. He's not just a big power puncher who's waiting in there and just trying to hit whatever he can. This guy can actually crack, and he can set up his opponent. I mean, he shoots throwaway shots, and he sets up his opponent down the line. How do you see this Joel Gonzalez fight playing out?
What I was saying, with this fight with Joel Gonzalez, he comes off to me as a tough journeyman, kind of something akin to Sean Porter. You know, they're going to kind of run him through the ringer, getting beat up by all the top competition at his weight class 126. So he's gonna end up retiring with a really good resume, but I don't know how many good wins. So, in saying that, I don't think that Venalo's going to stop him. I think he might drop him. I don't think he's been dropped before, but Joel Gonzalez has shown himself to be scrappy. He'll get dirty, you know. And he went toe to toe with Navarrete. He did a lot better job with Navarrete than Valdez did.
That's
so
true.
I think he'll show his grit. He'll show his grit against Lopez, and I think it'll be clear who wins. But you know, I don't think that Joel Gonzalez will get stopped.
Yeah, he gave
So I
him
think
some
Venado
things.
Lopez will beat him.
Yeah, he made what's his name, Navarrete, think a little bit more in there. In large part because Joel Gonzalez is just more consistent with his action than Valdez. Valdez has to load up on his shots. And, you know, when you're loading up so much on your shots and throwing everything 100%, you can't throw that many. Eventually, you have to recoup your energy, and that's what Valdez does. Whereas Gonzalez is more of a volume puncher. So he was trying to match Navarrete, or actually outwork him in there and just outfight him. And even then, he still ran into his face was all screwed up, man. He looked like he'd been. You ever see somebody that goes into a? You probably have in Georgia down there. I mean, people are fucking insane, throwing rocks at hornets nets and all that. You ever see how somebody ends up fighting a hornet's nest? How they look afterwards? That's what they look like.
Yeah, yeah.
His face was all puffed up. I mean, it was insane. So, I mean, he gave Navarrete a tough fight, but he had to walk through hell to do it. So, I mean, I can see something similar. See, that's the thing about Venado Lopez, though. He's more Valdez than Navarrete, if you catch my drift. In other words, he has to explode and then eventually has to recoup that energy by dancing around, clinching. That's what I didn't like in the Warrington Featherweight. A little too much clinching. Now, to be fair to Venado Lopez, that's because Warrington was fucking barging in there with his head. So you got to do what you got to do, I guess. But hopefully we don't see too much clinching in this one.
I don't think Joel Gonzalez is above that, bro. He'll go in there, he'll use his elbows, he'll fight dirty. He don't care. I mentioned this on my stream too. What I don't like is that he had that nasty attitude for, you know, other Mexicans. He wanted to do that against Navarrete. He wanted to get in there and fight real dirty with him and, you know, give all his heart. But he didn't have none of that for Shakur. He kind of just, you know, cowered against him. And he kind of just choked. He just stood in front of him when he fought Shakur Stevenson. And I just don't know where, you know, in his other fights, he didn't show that, you know, that he didn't choke like that in any other fights.
I think what happened there was, and again, this is just my theory. I think somebody, because, you know, Shakur Stevenson's with Jay Prince. That's the thing that very few people are talking about. And those guys, They do it. They're slippery, to put it mildly. And I think somebody might have sent Joel Gonzalez photos of Shakur Stevenson banging his sister. Or something, you know what I mean? Something to throw him off. That's the only way. Now, because you're right. Look, listen, he froze against Shakur. Now, listen, all kidding aside, he froze against Shakur Stevenson because Shakur Stevenson has an effect on people. It's just a hand speed. And these guys go, holy shit, what do I do? They don't know how to fight the guy. They don't feint. They just wait in there and let him, Shakur Stevenson, smother their work. But ultimately, you know, I was having this conversation with Scalebender a while back where I said, man, Shakur Stevenson actually walked away to that fight against Joel Gonzalez clean, whereas Navarrete took more punches. And then Scalebender said, yeah, but also look at how Joel Gonzalez looked at the end of that fight. And he brought up the question of, who would you rather be? Would you rather sting the joint out and walk away clean, but the other guy walks clean his way? Or you took a couple of shots, but you fucked the other guy up royally? Which one would you rather be, right? So I guess there's two ways of looking at it. I'd rather fuck somebody up, to tell you the truth, which I do. And I don't even try, by the way. That's a scary thing. That's why I don't spar too much, because I don't know, for some reason my mitts are just hard and tight. But that's the thing with the Navarrete. I mean, excuse me, with Joey Gonzalez. So you're right though. Can Venado Lopez stop him? Unless Joey Gonzalez has been taking too much damage on his wars, maybe. But I sort of see this going the distance too a little bit. I think that's a safe bet. Would you agree?
Yeah, like I said, I think it'll be clear that Lopez wins, but I think Joet's going to be competitive in there. You know, I don't think he's going to lay down for him. Like, I don't think he's going to freeze like he did against Shakur, and he won't be able to, because if he does, Lopez will really start putting a beating on him.
Yeah, absolutely. He can go in there. I mean, I think he's gonna make Joey Gonzalez, Venado Lopez fight. He's gonna jump on him, and Gonzalez, he has shown he has good reflexes too. He can box, he can control the pace of the fight. So Joey Gonzalez is a very good fighter, but he's shown his limits too, or his limitations. And he's a big B level guy in this division. But how good would you say Venado Lopez is though? How would you rate him? Like, let's say if you had to rate him out of 5 stars. And you can give half a star or quarter star, whatever, but 5-star rating. How would you rate Lopez?
I would give him 4 stars, right? Because he's not. I wouldn't say he's pound for pound, or nothing like that. But he is a champion in his weight class, and I do think he'd beat the other 2 champions. Who is it? Ray Vargas and Lee Wood.
I think there's Lee Wood, there's Ramirez. Well, actually, let's go check, man.
I think it's still Ray Vargas.
If somebody, real quick, when you go to BoxRec, if you click through 3 names, eventually they limit your access. You got to sign up and shit like that. So I go to champignon.info, boxing and MMA, and they've got a pretty good record there. It's not as complete as BoxRec, but it's pretty good. All right, to answer your question, the Never Overs, we've got at featherweight, Ray Vargas. Jeez, look at this bullshit. WBC champ is Ray Vargas. The interim champ is Brandon Figueroa. Hector Sosa. Look at this. They're counting the IBO now on this fucking website. I'm telling you, man, in 5 years from now, you're going to need the IBO too to be considered undisputed. And you're going to see fucking Mauro Ranallo, who's got bipolar disorders. He's undisputed in the 5 belt era. I hate when they say 4 belt era. Okay, so Ramirez is the WBO. Lopez is the IBF. And Lee Wood is the WBA. And Ring Magazine is vacant. I'm sharing the screen.
So maybe I'll put him at 3.5.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. I mean,
I gotta tell you, if he could beat one of these other guys, then I'd give him like a 4 stars. Let's say 3.5 for now, because he's the world champion.
I got to tell you, man, I'm a little on. I don't know. I'm still dubious about how good Lopez is, because, like I said, he knows what he's doing in there. He's got some intelligence. He sets these guys up. And I was talking about this with Gonzalo before the Lee Wood fight. The Warrington fight. I wasn't sure how that was going to play out. But Gonzalo made a good point. He said, what makes Lopez dangerous is that he leads with those hooks. And what's going on is when you got a guy like Warrington and Joey Gonzalez, they have that conventional stance, high guard. Those looping shots are actually outside of their range of vision. In fact, hey, we got Gonzalo jumping in. Gonzalo, are you there?
Hey, how's it going, Mr. BDA?
Good. We got Never Sobers here as well, joining us on this late night stream. We're talking about...
What's up, bro?
Yeah, what's up? Oh, she's got the fucking Iraq avatar there. You guys can really see it. Nice. Is that in the room where Saddam Hussein's sons used to torture people, or where is it?
Yeah, there's a few palaces over there where they used to live.
You found the Hussein's porn. You found their porn stash. Well, listen, we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask you, BDA. Which one of those champions you think that Lopez can beat out of the ones we just looked at? It was Robesi, Ray Vargas, and Lee Wood, right?
Well, listen, first of all, I'm sharing the screen with you guys, so if you want to look at the list here.
I forgot this guy Sosa. I already forgot about him, bro.
He looks like, I don't know, he looks like he's standing in front of his trailer park or something. He just stepped out of his trailer for a little photo op. I don't even know who he is, to tell you the truth. Who is he, anyway? Maybe if I look at you, I'll remember who he's fought. James Dickens. No, when did he fight James? Was that in England? I don't even remember. Yeah, the UK. All right, yeah.
He
Jessa
knocked
Dickens.
out 4 times.
I mean, whatever, man. Yeah, I don't know. How old is he? He's got to be in his 30s too, right? 27. Okay. I'm getting it all wrong. La Maquinita.
He's from Argentina.
He looks Australian for some reason. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. Lopez, I would pick him to beat Wood. That's a given. I think he's just a little bit better than Wood, and he's younger too. Sosa, I gotta tell you, I've never seen him fight. I gotta go back. I gotta watch this the Dickens fight. Vargas, man, oof. I don't know, man. I think he beats Vargas, by the way. No, actually, I do think he beats Vargas because Vargas, the way he performed against Oshaki Foster, and I know that was at 130, but he just seemed completely inept at chasing Oshaki Foster down. He's just, he made a career out of boxing shorter guys, and then as soon as he fought somebody who was quicker than him and who could box, all of a sudden he didn't know how to put the pedal to the metal. So I would go Lopez. I think he would shock Vargas with his speed. I think he would also beat Figueroa. Although I'll be more comfortable in picking Lopez over Figueroa, depending on how the Joet Gonzalez fight goes, because Figueroa is another high octane guy, and I think Ramirez outpoints him. What do you guys think about? How would you guys rate it?
I mean, I would agree with most of what you said. I think that Robesi Ramirez would be the hardest fight. I'm not sure how I would go with Vargas, but I think Vargas without Nacho Berenstein, it's noticeable the difference in his style. Something's missing, and without him, he looks like the lizard. He looks like a lizard, bro. I call him the Lizard King, bro.
You know what? I've talked about it on the Second Renaissance about the former Marine or whatever he was that tried to kill his pastor because he thought he was an alien, and he actually gave a drawing of the alien. He actually kind of looks a little bit like what's his name? Ray Vargas. Yeah. Look at that.
Exactly, bro. The eyes, the lips, the head.
Right,
come on,
man.
bro. He's a lizard man.
He's a reptilian. Call David Icke. What the fuck?
The fungus is among us.
I'm glad we got Gonzalo here, a veteran. He'll tell us what to do. Okay, so you said you agreed with Ramirez probably beats him. So you would favor Lopez over everybody else?
I think Figueroa would give him a hard fight though, because he looked pretty good against Maxeo. I thought he looked really slow at 122, but at 126 he looks like not so drained, and he looks like a better version of himself. I think he's better than his brother. Omar was terrible, that dude ate punches all day.
Hey, by the way,
Brandon not so much.
Yeah, that's a good breakdown too. You're right, but Figueroa, what's his name? The Filipino guy he fought. What was his name? Maxayo. He tires, man. He tires on the stretch, and that's why he was holding so much. I don't know if he can tire Lopez out that much. Pudo in the chat says, Robesi robbed Dogbo. He kept the title warm for Venado. I don't know, man. I wouldn't call it robbery. But I tell you what, I was disappointed because I thought he was going to stop Dogbo. And the fact that it was interesting, as soon as that one punch at a time approach wasn't working, because the way he stopped Supernova, that was impressive. But then he fights Dogbo, and you could tell he ran out of ideas in that one a little bit. It reminds me, it's what happens with these Cuban guys, or Zab Judah, for example. They start off very well after 3 rounds, and then if the guy's still around, it's almost like what the fuck, this guy's still around, what do I do? And they throw one shot at a time. So I was a little
There's one thing I see. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would say there's one thing I see Robesi does in his fights that is really repetitive, and I don't know why his opponents haven't caught on to it yet. He kind of leans forward and dips down, like to bait them a little bit, and then he comes over with the overhand left. And that's what he caught Nova with. He was doing it over and over to Dogbo. He does it. He spams it. It's almost, like a special move in a video game, and these guys don't seem to see it coming. But I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I have, man. I have. And also, you mentioned the overhand. That's all he has, really. The left. He spams it. He's just one. And look, it works because he's got a good sense of distance, a good control of the distance as well. That's why he's a gold medalist. But he's already been beaten. And although he did avenge that loss and actually ended up beating up the other dude a little bit, I don't know, he's still a little limited. So I would pick him to beat Venado, but not by much, man. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if Venado pulls. In other words, I think it's like for me it's 55-45 for Ramirez. Hey Gonzalo, I was talking with Never Sobers, and I was trying to explain what you just, because remember before the Lopez Warrington fight, I had a lot of questions about, man, how's he gonna look? Can Venado actually beat him? You know, how's he gonna handle Warrington's pressure? And you said that when these guys with the high guard fight Venado Lopez, it's actually to Lopez's advantage because of the volados, you know, those wide bolo hooks that he throws. I don't know if you could go into that a little bit more, if you remember.
Well, yeah, he throws the white bolo hooks, and sometimes, look, I'm not necessarily saying that he's sloppy, but you know, like I mentioned before, sometimes you throw wide to make the hook disappear from your line of sight. But sometimes you literally have to get sloppy in order for your opponent to bite on or to move his arms to protect himself. And once he gets his arms going one way in order to protect them wide shots, you could go in with a short shot down the middle. So Venado can also throw very short hooks, right? In other words, you got a guy noticing that the key for a fighter to bait on a wide punch is to throw it and land it sometimes. Not to feint it in order to make your opponent think that maybe you are and maybe you're not, where he's not going to bite on it. But when you're throwing wide and you're actually landing it, then the dude's going to go wide he's going to try to cover that wide punch. And it's going to expose his body at a certain point where, you know, he's going to be vulnerable to get caught down the middle, whether it's by a hook, a short hook, or a uppercut, you know, a short uppercut. So it's one of those things.
See, that's you broke it down, and you made me think too of, like you said, now they're looking forward to those wide hooks. All of a sudden, they start opening up the guard down the middle a little bit more, just a little bit more, and that's when he can come in through with the straight shots. So, like I said, he knows what he's doing in there. So we'll see what happens with that one. That's a very interesting fight. Who do you have winning in that one, Gonzalo? Venado versus
against Joet Gonzalez or Robesi Ramirez?
Joet Gonzalez.
Yeah, El Venado Lopez has too much power for Joet Gonzalez. And the key here is that Joet Gonzalez, okay, it's not that he isn't good. He just doesn't have the firepower himself to keep El Venado Lopez off of him, right? And Joet Gonzalez is a good boxer, you know, but Venado Lopez is not coming in here to box with you. He's coming in here to kick your ass. In other words, like Shane Mosley said when he fought Margarito, it wasn't the fact that supposedly, quote unquote, you know, he had fucking like plaster of Paris in his gloves. No, it was because I divorced my wife, and she told me that those were the last $2 million that I was gonna collect, because she said you're gonna lose, and that's the last $2 million that you're gonna get. So I was like, man, fuck that bitch. I'm gonna go in there and kick his ass. In other words, that's fucking Venado Lopez mentality. He's not going in there to box with you behind the jab. He's gonna go in there. He got the quick legs. He's gonna scurry inside the pocket, because they call him El Venado. He's gonna fucking close the distance and fucking start tagging you up. And that's what he's gonna do. And sometimes that approach, when you got the good chin, cuts many steps in the process when a guy wants to box with you, right? I'm not saying that you don't have to be responsible and box behind the jab when the other dude got power, and then you got to be careful. But when you got a good chin and they ain't respecting the opponent's power, you cut many steps out of the process. And that's why I believe Joel Gonzalez is a good boxer, but not to the point where he can contend with Venado Lopez when it comes to a firefight.
Well, there you go, man. I mean, look, we're a little dubious about whether he can stop Joet Gonzalez, but because, you know, Joet Gonzalez did go the distance with Navarrete. So he's tough. I mean, he's well conditioned, but this is a bit of a different dynamic. Lopez is more explosive than Navarrete. And although he's not as voluminous with his combinations, nevertheless, that different style might end up playing a factor in getting a stoppage. But, I mean, like you said, Joet Gonzalez is tough, man. So it's a large bet. I tell you what, though, that's K-Nut in the chat. Shout out for him for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, for the odds, I like Joet by decision. Not a bad bet, he says. Whoa. What are the odds anyway? Let me look that up. See if we can get to the bottom of things here. You never know, man. The chances for an upset, I'm telling you, Lopez, he can be a little inconsistent sometimes. And the last time he lost wasn't that long ago. It was 4 years ago. It's like a World Cup ago, so could be nothing.
He's only getting better because he's got a good team now. He trains with people in Vegas. He's got people back home. And he's just getting better because he's got the full team, the strength and athletic coach, the trainers, and all that. So he should be doing better than he's ever done before. He looked like $1 million versus the Irish kid, Michael Conlon, right? So he's always been the B side. Now he's the A side, and we gotta think that Joel Gonzalez, this is like his 4th title opportunity. And he's always falling short. He's kind of like in the same boat as Debriachenko, no? He tried against who? Shakur, lost. Then he went against who? And lost again. Then Dogbo. Then just recently. He gives a good account of himself, but he's always falling short. At some point, he's also catching beatings. Oh, yeah, that's right. Navarrete. All right. So I think he ends up beating him up. I don't know about stopping him. Hey, but he's going to certainly be there to exchange punches. If not, what is it called? Venado Lopez got the legs to always close the distance, to always be on your chest.
Mm-hmm. Well, we shall see, man. We shall see. Not is saying that Joel Gonzalez is a 5-1 underdog. So that's what Vegas is saying. They're giving him a bit of a shot, but obviously once you get to 5-1, means most people aren't really banking on him to pull the win. It will be interesting, though, that's for sure. I think it's going to be a good fight. And we're going to get a bit of a treat here because we have that fight on a Friday night on ESPN. And then the next day, we've got Wiilliam El Camarón Cepeda, lightweight titleist, taking on... No, excuse me, he's not even a titleist. I thought everyone had a title nowadays. Taking on, what's his name? Mercito Gesta. He's a veteran, Filipino-American, I believe. I don't know if he's full Filipino or Filipino-American. And he's been through it seems like he's been around forever, man. I still remember when he fought Tite de Vasquez on the Marquez Pacquiao 4 undercard. And it had to be one of the most uneventful, and that's me being nice, other people would call it boring, undercard fights I've ever seen. And Mercito Gesta, I remember when I saw that fight, I said, okay, this dude, never want to see him fight again. Then he fought the years later, in 2018, 6 years later, he fought Linares and got outboxed, but I think he performed a little better. And then recently he upset Jojo Diaz. So that's how he's getting this fight. I've heard some people shitting on this fight. Some people are saying, man, what the fuck is this fight doing on the zone? And look, I'm not going to argue, but I'm looking forward to it because Cepeda always brings it. 27 years of age, 28 wins, 24 knockouts. He's shown that if he doesn't get you out of there, he can turn into a volume puncher the way he did against Jojo Diaz. And he's fighting a 35-year-old veteran here who's a southpaw, fellow southpaw. He's tricky. He's got experience. Why not? You know, that's a decent fight for me on the zone. How do you guys see this one playing out?
Yeah, he's coming off a victory, I believe, too, Mercito Gesta. I think he's full Filipino, BDA, but he just eradicated to Los Angeles. Probably got a passport through Sean Gibbons and the Manny Pacquiao crew, right?
Yeah, those contacts.
It's probably better for them to be over there than over here.
Yeah.
Right, especially if they got an income. No, El Camarón Cepeda, man, he throws a heck of a lot of punches. He's from El Distrito Federal, where he got the altitude going for him. He doesn't even get red in the face. Right, you know, he throwing, obviously, like if you're getting tired, you would get because of the oxygen, the lack of oxygen. But he doesn't look flustered at all. He got a good gas tank, reminiscent of, what's it called? The dude that killed himself when he was 23 years old, Salvador Sanchez. Non-stop. That's one of the great things to have, a never-ending gas tank. So throws a lot of punches. And that's exciting to watch, you know, when a fighter lets his hands go. How good is he? Well, this is a good test because Mercito Gesta's been through the ringer. He's fought a lot of champions and always given a good account of himself. And so, plus he's a southpaw too. And I think that maybe, what's it called? Camarón Cepeda struggled a little bit. I think René Alvarado was a southpaw. So this is a good test.
But that's the thing, though. You brought up the Alvarado. He wasn't a southpaw, but you are correct. He did give him a tough fight, and that's because Alvarado gives everybody a tough fight. I mean, this guy is well conditioned. You know who reminds me of? He reminds me of Israel Gonzalez. He's just a well conditioned guy. He's got experience, and he lets his hands go. So these guys don't know. You know, he's a tricky opponent. He's very, very tough. I was a little disappointed in that performance from Cepeda because there were chances for him to maybe go to the body a little bit more. But I mean, it's just, I'm not going to fault him too much because, again, Alvarado is a tough guy, but he needs to step it up. He can't have too many performances like that. Otherwise, I'm going to start thinking, all right, this guy ain't all that. Now, you mentioned the volume punching, Gonzalo. When he fought Jojo Diaz, Cepeda, that is, he saw, okay, this guy's got a high guard. I can't just take him out with one shot. He threw 1,500 shots, man. 1,536 to be exact. Jojo Diaz, no slouch. He was at 607 punches thrown, but he just got flooded with that offense from Cepeda. Never Sobers, what do you think about this fight?
Well, I think Mercedo Gesta, I don't think he's that bad, but I think he's like 35. He's an older dude. They kind of age quicker in the smaller weight classes. I see Zepeda, if he's the guy that, we're thinking he is, I think he's going to stop him. If he brings, the same energy he brought against Jojo Diaz, they have that same opponent in common. And, what Zepeda did to him, if he brings that same energy for Gesta, I think Gesta will try to swing with him. Filipinos, they're tough guys that like to brawl. And I think he'll end up getting beat up, trying to go toe-to-toe with Zepeda and end up getting stopped. Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight, and this lightweight division is causing a lot of stir because of the Twitter drama. Twitter drama. Now, we talked about the featherweight division, which is jam-packed. The lightweight division as well has its share of recognizable names. You've got Devin Haney. Some on this podcast refer to him as the usurper because they feel he's not the true king, be that as it may. On paper, at least he is. Then you got Lomachenko, who says he's taking a bit of a break. Then you got Gervonta Davis, who is content to just stay on his side of the street. You got Isaac Cruz, that he might be the next in line for Gervonta Davis. It would be a rematch. You got Ryan Garcia. Rumors are that he's going to be returning against. Who did they say he was going to come back against? You guys know? It was a recognizable name too. Campa. Thank you. Yes, Campa. Should be an interesting.
The one that fought Brandon Lee.
Yeah, and the guy who got he gave Lopez a tough fight too before Teofimo Lopez knocked him out. You got Shakur Stevenson, Frank Martin, Cepeda, Cambosos, Maxi Hughes, who got robbed against Cambosos, and Murataya making the list on Ring TV. So it's an interesting division. So it's imperative here for Cepeda more than anything to look good in this one. Do not give his enemies too many lip licking moments where they go, you know what, this guy's right for the taking. He needs to really maintain his stock by fucking Gesta up. That's what I want to see. I want to see this guy go for the knockout.
Yeah, we don't need 15, but we need 1,000.
Exactly. There you go.
He's not so dangerous, and maybe René Alvarado gave him a tough fight because René Alvarado hits hard, right? He punches hard, so he had to be a little dubious or what's the wary of the power. With Gesta, I don't think the power is kind of similar to like Joet. One day maybe a volume puncher that throws like 1,500 punches is going to have to be cognizant of the fact that if he got another, he have a power puncher, as an opponent that, you get so busy that you're not going to be aware of that one hard shot that power puncher sets you up for. But with this guy, man, maybe there's no reason to like be so wary of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because how many? Well, I mean, it's sometimes it's dubious to look at the guy's record because if you look at Jermel Charlo's record, he's got like a 50% KO ratio, but lately he's been knocking everybody out. So it might be deceptive, but Gesta, I never got the feeling that he was a power puncher. He's got decent punching power. He's got a 50% KO ratio, or a little bit less than 50%. But back in the day, he was stopping guys. He was stopping, even in the beginning of his career, he was more of a speedster, like a quick southpaw. So, I mean, it's going to be his skills and his conditioning. If he pulls the offset, it's going to be those things and not so much the punching power. But like I said, what's his name? Cepeda really has to bring it.
He's going to get overwhelmed regardless because, like you said, he get flooded by volume. So it's like, is he really going to throw more punches than Wiilliam Cepeda? I doubt it. So,
hey, you know what? There's a fight. Sorry. Somebody was going to say something? I thought somebody was going to say something. There's a fight on the Zone on October the 28th. It's about the Halloween era. And it's Shakur Foster, the guy who beat the aforementioned Ray Vargas, taking on Eduardo Hernandez. This is going to be from Cancun. So there's a potential for an upset there in Hernandez's home country. Hernandez, if you haven't seen him, this guy can crack. This dude is a bona fide power puncher. Now, defensively, he does a couple of things that I don't like. We'll get more into that fight as it comes along. But this guy can crack. Now, his only loss was against Roger
Is that
Gutierrez.
Rocky B?
Yes, that's Rocky Hernandez, yes. And
yeah.
he lost to Gutierrez, Roger Gutierrez, who beat Alvarado twice, I believe. And then recently, I don't know if you guys saw it, but there's these cards, these boxing fights. What do they call again? Let me look it up. Juan Manuel Marquez is an unofficial commentator there. Pro Box. Thank you, Gonzalo. Pro Box. Those cards are very, like Shazar in the Discord referred to them as comfy. They are comfy editions of boxing cards. And we've had some interesting ones. So Gutierrez fought there not that long ago against some, was he a Romanian guy or Kazakh? Some Eastern European dude. And the other guy made him quit, I believe. So, Gutierrez is like an Alvarado level type of fighter. He's not the best, but he's durable. So the fact that Cepeda could take out Alvarado too sometimes, I don't know. But going back to Rocky Hernandez, that's his loss against Gutierrez. He actually had hurt Gutierrez, but then like a dumbbell, and we're going to talk about this more as the fight approaches, but he was fucking throwing an uppercut from too far away, and he got caught with a straight right. It looked like he made Gutierrez look like Tommy Hearns, man. To tell you the truth, that's how bad that's how awful that mistake was. So, I mean, he needs to step it up, man. He can't do that because you know what happens? Shakur Foster, he's that fast twitch type of style. He's got the ass style, the American slick style, the ass style. And some of these guys, they freeze when they encounter that. Fuck that. Body. Don't go headhunting against that dude.
Yeah, and he hits hard, man. He's got like cement in his gloves. That like literally like bricks. In other words, el Rocky Hernandez. He just beat a guy that trains with Hector Velasquez, a guy that I know, El Guadaña Garcia. Hector El Guadaña Garcia. He's a journeyman, but that dude's tough. That's the guy that supposedly beat Haney up in El Rancho Grande, one of the places where they hold cards in Tijuana and TJ. So I mean, the guy that he just beat was a journeyman, but he was a good fighter, and Rocky Hernandez took him out of there, man. It was impressive. Yep. So I know he's pretty good, man, but he definitely hit hard for sure.
Now, the homie Ricky in the chat says, Rocky has fought no one, LOL. I agree. And that's why if I had to pick somebody, I would go with Shakur Foster. He's probably that speed is really going to be what saves him. But I'll say this, Lara had never fought anybody before he beat Warrington. And you know what? September 11 was yesterday. It was the anniversary. somebody was on Twitter, by the way. He goes, happy September 11th. It's like, happy? What is this, Halloween? It's a happy anniversary? What the fuck? But anyway, this always reminds me of Hopkins Trinidad. And, long story short, Trinidad was on a rampage, 3-division world champ. He'd moved up to middleweight and taken out the number 2 guy easily took him out. So everybody was, man, this guy, he's going to murder Hopkins. And that was one of the major so-called arguments that people had for picking Trinidad, which was, who has he beaten? In fact, I have the Ring magazine here, and that was when they questioned 20 experts at the time. Out of 20 experts, 15 picked Trinidad, and one of them was Max Kellerman. And that's essentially how he started off his prediction. He goes, who has Hopkins beaten? Nobody. I'm thinking, That is not a good way to pick fights, fellas. You got to actually look at their attributes and then match up how the styles are going to look once they're in the ring. So, in other words, this whole thing of, well, Rocky Hernandez has no chance because he's never beaten anybody. Who has Shoshaki Foster beaten? He looked awful against Ray Vargas. So, I mean, to me, this is still a... yeah, I don't know if he can take a punch.
Yeah, maybe not. If Rocky Hernandez can get him against the ropes, you know, it's not like Oshaki's undefeated or anything. If he can get him against the ropes and land his shots, he could probably stop him. You know, but if he lets Foster, you know, it's a classic matchup, a hard, slow hitter against, you know, a light punching, fleet-footed guy. He's gonna be running around the ring. If Rocky can cut off the ring, he can catch him. He can stop him. You know, but well, I guess we'll have to see what happens, right?
Yeah, no, that you're right. To Foster's credit, he is on a long winning streak right now, and so his confidence is sky high. By the way, if you look at his picture, he looks like every rapper of under 25 years of age nowadays. He's got that fucking weird. Looks like he's got a plant on his head.
He looks like an ant.
Up. He looks like a what?
Like an ant.
Like an insect ant?
Kind of.
It's what the fuck?
Like a Morabunta ant, like one of them ants. No, because my son watches the cartoon. And there's like these giant ants in the Coco Melon cartoon. Yeah.
Well, that's how he looks, bro. Yeah.
The ant from Honey. The ant from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But anyway, yeah, that's one fight that's going to be taking place.
The hair being the antennas, BDA. The hair being the antennas, you know.
It's so fucking stupid. But yeah, so those are the fights that are coming up. I'm going to open up the phone lines in case anybody wants to call in about the fights and about some of the other stuff that we're going to be talking about next. I want to talk about, look, we spent about a good 47 minutes now talking about these fantastic fights that are going to be taking place on Friday and Saturday. But the thing that most people are talking about is a fight that's probably not going to happen ever, and that's Shakur Stevenson versus Frank Martin. That's the big drama.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
That's the big drama that everybody's talking about. Oh, okay, long story short, for those that haven't been in the loop, Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin, they went to a purse bid. Then at the last minute, they said, no purse bid required. We'll work it out ourselves. Yes, the fight is taking place. And then a couple of days ago, it turns out that the rumor is that Frank Martin's the guy that pulled out. Well, actually, not even the rumor. I think that's been confirmed. They pulled out. So now Frank Martin, he has to try to save face. He goes, well, it wasn't me. But Shakur Stevenson also fucked up a little bit here because he's the one that had pulled out of the Haney negotiations, citing a low ball offer. He says that they were trying to lowball him in the negotiations. Now that's what Frank Martin is saying too. And Shakur Stevenson said, well, you should have taken it because you're going to be making more money than you've ever could in any other fight. And then he ended up deleting that tweet, which makes it look like, oh shit, he's trying to save face or whatever. So, I mean, that whole thing, people really, look, I'll reiterate what I said when that fight was announced and we talked about it. I believe on the last episode, I said, it's a good fight. Hopefully it happens, but I'm dubious. I'm skeptical. I'm hesitant. And jaded, really. And it turned out that I was proven correct. Because it's not the first time that we've seen this type of shit. Most of us here, Gonzalo, myself, we've been watching boxing for a long time. We've seen these type of things coming and going. And not for nothing, guys. If you think that these young, undefeated Afro-Anglo fighters are going to fight each other, don't hold your breath. They won't. Look at what Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. It took him 5 years to make that fight. As if they were Pacquiao Mayweather. And even then, the fight that everybody tried to push, ourselves included, we did our part on Fight Week. We really tried to hype it up. 500,000 pay-per-view buys. A little bit more than that. So these guys, I mean, they don't sell. And that's why it's a business. These promoters don't want to really make these fights either because these guys don't bring in that type of money. And then once, they asked for 10 mil to fight each other. I'm exaggerating, obviously. But, they asked for big money, beaucoup money. And it's unrealistic. These guys aren't big stars. Gonzalo, are you surprised that the fight fell apart, or?
Say again, BD.
Are you surprised that the fight fell apart, or was this what you expected?
Well, it was, they had just barely announced it, so I was like, okay, it's happening. Was I, terribly excited? Oh, Frank Martin's going to fucking fight Shakur Stevenson. I can't wait. No, not really. And then it ended up falling apart within a week of that. So it's like whatever. You kind of have to wait nowadays because a lot of things they do fall apart like this. And like I said, not that I was terribly excited, but I saw a post that was interesting because it's true. Everybody on Shakur Stevenson's record, Frank the Ghost Martin can beat, and everybody on Frank the Ghost Martin's record, Shakur can beat. So they're both undefeated, right? And they got many things like the same. They're both undefeated, like everything that I just mentioned. Are they really like already like established fighters? No, they're on the come up. Maybe Shakur got a little bit more buzz because supposedly to a lot of people he's the second coming of Mayweather, the guy that has hit the list. That's got like this incredible defense and whatnot. But to tell you the truth, man, it's like Shakur Stevenson is really acting like a diva. And I would kind of have to side with Frank Martin here because he hasn't really done anything in the sport to command that type of like attention, respect, or whatever he thinks it is.
I mean, look, from the breakdown that I've seen, and again, I hate having to follow the negotiations because I loathe this he said, she said. They got to piece things together, got to try to get to the bottom of things. It seems to me like it was the Frank Martin side, not Frank Martin himself, mind you, but that Frank Martin side who probably didn't want the fight. Now, this is getting tiresome because you've got the top rank fanatics on the Shakur Stevenson side, and then you get the Frank Martin PBC fanboys on the other. And they just want to seem to attack each other because one guy's affiliated with one promotional outfit and the other guy with the other. Long story short, we all wanted to see the fight. But I think at this point, it's quite clear that neither of these guys really want to fight each other. Now, some people are saying now, Shakur Stevenson, the new boogeyman. That's how he's positioning himself, which is smart because he's not an entertaining fighter. He's probably not going to be the next Mayweather in terms of fame. So how do you try to get to that point? Well, you start to build a narrative. You start to build a narrative that nobody wants to fight you, which is already bunk, by the way, because Navarrete, again, all we have to go by is their versions. People say that Navarrete docked him at 130.
That is true. Sorry, but I just because you're mentioning that, I have to say that is true, but it's for the wrong reasons. People got to understand that nobody wants to fight Shakur, but it's not for he's the boogeyman type of reason. It's for the wrong reasons that he's a boring fighter. He's high risk, low reward. Right? In other words, you got to go balls out in order to beat him in a round because he's a very negative fighter. He's not going to offer too much of a fight. He's going to get on the back foot. He's going to fucking outscore you by landing one shot, then fucking being safety first, and then he wins the round. He got that in the bag, then he ends up winning the fight. You lose your stock. His stock goes up because he's this incredible defensive fighter. Like when he fought, El Joel Gonzalez, he stunk up the joint. The fight was fucking bored, and it's not that we know and that Joel Gonzalez is a boring fighter. No, he made that fight boring because all of a sudden Gonzalez is very entertaining. He comes to fucking fight. So you lose a lot of stock, but people think because he's the boogeyman, because he's good, but he's a very negative fighter.
I'll say this, Gonzalo. Everything you said was on the money. First, let me say that. Number two, the book on Lomachenko, these people that claim to hate him, or that hated him rather, and rooted against him and made fun of him after every loss, they claimed, well, it's because the reason why we dislike him is because Top Rank overrated him. They overhyped him. And I go, okay, that's a weird reason to hate somebody, but okay, fine, let's go with it. Are you telling me Shakur Stevenson right now is not being overhyped? Both by ESPN and the fans? Because that's what I hear from people saying nobody at between 130 pounds and 140. Nobody can beat this guy. Nobody. Absolutely. He has to go up to welterweight to find somebody that can match his skills. And even then, probably, these guys can be. I'm thinking, come on, guys. Haven't we been through? Didn't we just go through this a couple of years ago with Errol Spence? After he beat Algieri and then Brook, and people are like, holy shit. Porter doesn't stand a chance. Thurman doesn't stand a chance. Danny Garcia stands no chance. He has to, the only way Spence gets a tough fight is if he goes up to middleweight to fight Canelo. And even then, he'd beat Canelo. It's like, come on. If you're going to let's keep it consistent. If you thought Lomachenko was being overhyped, you can't tell me Stevenson right now is not being overhyped as well. And it's he's helping himself with this whole I'm being avoided narrative, which again, from what I understand, it's Frank Martin's fault. His side's fault that the fight ain't happening. But Shakur Stevenson, I'm not going to fucking believe him just because he's from Top Rank. You get all these top-ranked fanboys hating on the PBC. Look, we've given our share of criticism to the PBC because of the shitty fights they've put, not because I got anything personal against them, and I'm always going to root against them. I'm trying to look at the facts here, which are hard to come by, and Stevenson already sort of contradicted himself with the whole percentage that he would receive against Haney, and then apparently him trying to lowball Frank Martin. But okay, listen, that has nothing really. One thing's not completely related to the other. Frank Martin didn't want to take the fight. Okay, but my thing is this. Shakur Stevenson, is it any wonder that people really don't want to fight him for the amount of money that they're offering? Because look, this is a guy who blew weight against Conceição, hit him low, no repercussions whatsoever. He hit Valdez low a bunch of times too, although not as many as against Conceição. That's impossible, by the way. So he's boring and dangerous because he's so quick and so slippery. So is it any wonder that, and he's associated with James Prince. So is it any wonder that people might be a little hesitant to put him in there against that dude for all the things that I mentioned? Let's face the facts.
He's good. Like you said, BDA, like a while ago, maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, something. Mm-hmm. That he's got this uncanny ability to freeze his opponents with the punches that he throws. Because not only, you know how they say timing beats speed, but for a young guy, what if you have timing and you have speed? When you hit a motherfucker, it's like maybe you don't hit that hard, but you put 40% power and 60% speed behind your punch. Bam, that's enough to freeze your opponent. And he's especially going to look good against older guys like Jermell Herring and possibly a Lomachenko. Smaller, frees you up with one of the shots that, like, bam, it fucking discombobulates you because of the speed that you're throwing behind your shot. But against younger dudes, hey, man, all of a sudden, I didn't like how that punch fell. I'm going to get on the back foot, especially more where I'm going to fight real negative like Nakatila. Like, I'm not going to offer you anything because it's too risky. Frank Martin, I know he didn't let his hands go the way he should have, and it was a close fight. Some people thought he lost, but because he couldn't get his timing down. But what if he gets his timing, or every now and then he does land a shot that's going to, like, rock Shakur? Maybe he sees that as dangerous, and he's kind of, like, low-key ducking himself by overpricing himself. So it's one of those things. People think that Shakur's, like, really good, but like you said against Conceição, 70+ low blows. Nakatila didn't want to get hit. And we saw what Murataya did with Nakatila. Against Jermell Herring, he does look good. And the Japanese dude. But these are on and off performances. His last 6 fights, maybe 3 were good and 3 were not, if you include the Joel Gonzalez. That wasn't a good fight. So you pit him against another young dude, and it's a dangerous fight.
I mean, look, the Blame Boxing says if he has the best defensive stats in the sport, he's a silver medalist. Okay, what does that have to do with fucking pro boxing, by the way? That's what they always said about Lomachenko, too. Who cares about the gold medals? We're talking professional ranks here. Why is it far-fetched to compare him to Floyd? He's never even had a close fight. Well, first of all, he has had close fights, or competitive fights at least. And also, Floyd Mayweather, 130 pounds, was stopping fellas. He was stopping his opponents. And again, look, let's keep it consistent here. Shakur Stevenson is a weight bully as well. He gets A-side advantages, and even then, he can't fucking stop the guys he's fighting. Gonzalo just mentioned the Nakatila fight. Murataya did it better than Shakur Stevenson. Navarrete already did it better to all his other common opponents. Joel Gonzalez, Pitufo Diaz, and Oscar Valdez. He's looked better. Navarrete did it better than he did. So all of a sudden, the great Shakur Stevenson ain't looking all that great, and that's my argument for saying he's a little overhyped. He's being overhyped. So the same reason that people were saying that they hated Lomachenko for, that he was overhyped, now all of a sudden, but Shakur Stevenson, he's the boogeyman. Nobody can beat him between 130 pounds and 140 pounds. I mean, come on, that doesn't sound like being overhyped. People got to keep it consistent, man. We get the phone lines open, by the way, so in case people want to call in, the phone number's in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Gonzalo, we're going to talk more about this as we go along. Let me just go to the phone lines here for a little bit. Let's go to 336. 336, you're on the air. 336, what's on your mind?
Yo, so I'm tired of, the YTBC, mostly LDBC, but a little bit of the YTBC too, talking about these overrated crip bum bashing fights that aren't even going to happen. Like, we're getting ready to get, presumably, or Ioka versus Estrada, on New Year's Eve in fucking Japan. These are 2 legit Hall of Fame, pound-for-pound fighters fighting the tail end of their career, showing that Superfly is still the best division in the sport. The winner of this fight, in my opinion, is going to be number 3 pound for pound. I don't give a fuck. At this point, I've been thinking about it. Cripford, he's going to sit at 6. Here's my 5 fighters I got above Crawford right now. Usyk, Inoue, Loma, Canelo, and Ioka, right? These guys have all fought fucking killers, legitimate multi-weight world champions, tons of former champs that were good fighters. And though Estrada is 1-2 against Choco Tito, he's 1-1 against Rung Desai. I think 2-0 against Quadras. Dude, this guy's a great fucking fighter, a legitimate Hall of Famer. And the winner of this fight should get more recognition, though they won't, than a fucking Shakira Frank Martin fight or a Errol Spence who fell on his fucking face, liquid heroin addict, shot to fucking pieces, whose entire career comprised of 50-50 fighters at welterweight, fighting fucking Terrence Crawford, who was the only pound-for-pound fighter he ever fought. This is a real pound-for-pound fight happening in 3 or 4 months. We got all these Crips talking about these fucking Amero bum black hype jobs. I'm just getting tired of it. So that's my opinion on that, I guess.
Firefist, first of all, is that they're saying they're working on that fight, right? The Ioka Estrada?
Well, they're pretty close to getting it. There's reports coming out like today that they're eyeing New Year's Eve in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's again. See, people love to talk about the Frank Martin Shakur Stevenson fight. Estrada, Ring Magazine champ, taking on Ioka, who's on a great winning streak right now. That fight, it's probably gonna get zero shine from most boxing people. And
dude, Donnie Nietes, I think Ioka's beaten 2 different 3-weight world champions. Estrada he's 1-2, but he still does have a win over Choco Tito, in my opinion, in his last fight. And he's a 2-time unified champ. Once I think he was at 112. I think he was unified at flyweight because he lost at 108 in his first fight to Choco Tito. He was unified at flyweight in a split decision, retained it, defended it 4 times. He's now unified at superfly after beating Choco Tito. And though he had to give up his WBA belt when it went to Franco, he's fighting now for the WBO belt against, or is it the WBA? I think it's the WBA because Junto's got the WBO. It's WBA Ring Magazine belt. You know, so Estrada has a chance to be 3-time unified, and his resume smokes Terrence Crawford. It's better than any other black fighter in the sport. No, I'm going to just be honest. No black fighter in the sport of boxing has a top 5 resume. Terrence Crawford doesn't have a better resume than Inoue, Usyk, Loma, Estrada, Ioka, Canelo. He doesn't. And that's just the reality of it. These Crips don't fucking fight each other. They wait till they're shot fucking fighters. They over-marinate these fights, and this is why you see shit like Spence Crawford not do shit. I guarantee you Canelo Jermel is going to do way more numbers, and that's a fucking mismatch. That's going to be a one-sided ass-whooping beatdown. So,
well, listen, hopefully that Ioka...
The American boxing establishment needs to stop overrating these fucking Crip fights and actually get behind real pound-for-pound talent and these guys both are certified Hall of Famers, and nobody's talking about it except for people that actually know the sport.
Yeah, hopefully that fight, Ioka-Estrada fight happens. It's still a long ways away, man. End of the year, so we're talking 31st of December. Unfortunately, knock on wood, hopefully nothing bad happens, but there's a lot of potential for injuries, and, you know, nowadays, not to get
right.
But I mean, I don't want to get too much into it. I don't want to get too much into it, but this is more for a second renaissance. But they're talking about the whole COVID coming back. They've got that down the pipeline, Agenda 2020, 2030,
no way.
Whatever. I'm telling you, man. So you gotta watch out for some of this stuff, man. But anyway, we gotta move on here, Firefist. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
So yeah, I want to see Cepeda beats Hesta and stops, which he could do. I want to see him and Shakur fight, and Shakur was talking about he's some boogeyman. Let's see it, and I like Venado's chances to potentially stop Joet. And the reason is, Joet is tough and all that. When you always come up short in your biggest fights of your career, he's 30 years old. He's got some mileage on him. He might just eventually lay down and be like, fuck it, I'm just not on this level. We'll see. So I'm picking Venado to win by stop. I know he could get outboxed potentially if Venado is a bit wild at times, but that's just part of his style to open you up. He's smart about it.
There you go.
So that's my opinion on that. I can't wait for those fights. Those will be good.
All right.
So,
well, listen, thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right? Take it easy out there.
All right.
All right, let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Subscribe if you have to do so already. And don't forget, you can call in. The phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Let's go to 646. 646, you're on the air. 646, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hello. How you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Can you
646.
hear me?
What's on your mind? Yes, we can hear you. What's up?
Great. Listen, man. You guys usually have a fantastic show, and you still do. One of the best shows out there.
Oh.
But I gotta tell you, man. I gotta tell you that tonight, you guys are falling into the same category as straight up hate. You understand? Your criticism of Shakur Stevenson leaves a lot to be desired. And I'll tell you what. First of all, let me get to that. What Gonzalez's point? Gonzalez's day, and I like his breakdowns. Let me just say that he's got one of the most intricate breakdowns as far as predicting how a fight's going to go and fighters' attributes. You could tell the man actually knows what he's talking about. And I love the way he speaks that broken English that just makes me die laughing. But the thing is this, that if you take into consideration that he thinks, or the way you're phrasing it, is as if Shakur Stevenson, or rather Frank Martin, walked away from a negotiation because he was getting lowballed. Right? Let's clear this up. He did not walk away from a negotiation. He walked away from an agreement. Okay? So they went into the negotiations. He's represented by TGB Promotions, Tom Brown, a very well established promoters, not no new jack in the box, right? So Tom Brown goes in there, and Top Rank is representing Frank Martin. When you go into that negotiation, you're representing a fighter in PBC's interest. You have a number that you discussed with that fighter or his manager that you want, okay? You got the number that you agreed to. And then when the fight is agreed upon, you walked away from that. What I think happened is that Frank Martin did not realize that this fight was going to have the buzz that it did. He did not realize that because this is a man who just fought in a venue that sat 1,500 patrons. And he's never made six figures, so he doesn't even know. You understand? But nevertheless, he agreed upon getting more than $1 million. So that's more than 10 times what you've ever made. Okay? So now you walked away from that agreement and that buzz because, and this is the other thing, Frank Martin people have got to stop treating Frank Martin as if he's some prospect. The man is 28 years old. He's older than Shakur Stevens. Whatever he was going to do, he should have done a long time ago. That's number two. Okay? So you get the opportunity to get into this fight for a belt, to make 10 times what you made. You agreed upon and you walk away. That is a clear duck. To see it any other way would be straight up hate. As far as comparing that situation to Shakur Stevenson walking away from Devin Haney, I'm going to tell you exactly what the difference is. Devin Haney has never been an attraction anywhere. He's still not an attraction today. He made his biggest payday by going to Australia because of what's his name, Kambosos. Kambosos brought that money. What you got to know about Devin Haney is that he needed Serrano and Hardy, right? Two ladies to fight on his undercard to sell all the tickets when he made his debut in New York. And it was a walk-off bout that he ended up fighting because after the ladies fought there, everybody walked out. Okay? So for him to offer Shakur 25%, and not that I'm defending, Shakur should have definitely taken that money. I could see where that argument is. But here's the thing. Shakur's already been making about $3 million a fight. Devin Haney was comparable to Devin Haney, who had just started getting $5 million. He got overpaid by the English guy, Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn overpaid everybody, thinking he's going to take over America. So he overpaid Devin Haney and found out that he couldn't sell tickets in New York without Hardy and Serrano being on his undercard. That was where Eddie Hearn fucked up. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that Shakur Stevenson sold 10,000 in Newark. At least he can do that. He's short. He gets good ratings on ESPN. So it's a totally different situation. The two situations should not be compared. As far as the criticism that Shakur Stevens is a boring fighter, right? He has this effect on people. He's going to hit you with something you don't see coming. Bottom line, you don't want to walk through that because you don't know how he's going to hit you. His reflexes are too quick, and he hits you just hard enough for you not wanting to feel that. But nobody sees it that way. That's what Nakatila, that was a big criticism. Yes, Shakur didn't want to get hit by Nakatila's right hand. But guess what? Nakatila wasn't trying to sell out and just hit him either, right? So it takes two to tango. And I predicted that he was going to stop Herring. I go on a Ring IQ show quite a bit, and I told that guy he was going to stop Herring. And the reason why I came to the conclusion is because Herring has something that other people didn't have. He had too much heart for his own good. Herring is a Marine. He's going to walk through whatever. He didn't give a fuck. You understand? And he ended up getting stopped. And anybody that does that with Shakur is going to end up getting stopped. And Oscar Valdez did not want that smoke either. Oscar Valdez did not. He's supposed to be a tough Mexican and this and that. Hey, he didn't want that. He didn't want that heat when he got hit by it.
All right, caller. I gotta interject here because we're running out of time here with those other people on the calls. But
go ahead.
Yeah,
please.
First of all, good points. But you started saying that we were hating. I mean, first when you start off with that, yes. I can't take you seriously because you said what Gonzalo said. And by the way, Gonzalo, if you listen to the show, you know Gonzalo doesn't focus on the whole negotiation aspect of it. Neither do I. Even then, Gonzalo didn't say that. Well, hold on. So you could say he's being ignorant because he doesn't follow that, but you can't say he's hating. You said, well, that because of what he said shows that he hates Shakur Stevenson. That's your opinion.
No. That's not what I said.
Yes,
now you're putting my head.
Now you said that. You said what I said. You said since he.
And I
you talk. Go ahead. You talk.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, if you really put into perspective what I said is that I'm surprised at what you sound in this episode. Your criticisms of Shakur sounds like hate. That's what I said. I'm not saying that you're hating. I'm saying that that's what it sounds like.
But okay? Listen, caller. When you say that, like if I say, caller, if I say you sound like a pedophile, I'm not saying you are, but you sound like a pedophile. I mean, come on. What are you really trying to get at there?
What was that? Excuse me, I didn't understand what you said.
If I say you sound like a pedophile, but I'm not saying you're a pedophile, but I'm just saying you sound like a pedophile. What are you really trying to say? I mean, come on, caller. Let's be serious. Now, listen. May I address? Look. I want to address something. I want to address this. I do not hate Shakur Stevenson. Again, you made some great points that it takes two to tango. But here's the thing. Here's my criticism of Shakur Stevenson. Why I call him boring? Because you said he's so fast. He's so pinpoint, and the reason why Herring lost is because he had got stopped is because he had too much heart. Meaning he was one of the few guys that was willing to really try to go get it. And that's why he got stopped against Shakur Stevenson. But my contention is if Shakur Stevenson really is that good, and he is good, don't get me wrong, he's got very quick hands, just that off the bat freezes a lot of guys. And like you said, I agree with you, those are the guys' fault. But at that point, if you got those guys frozen, could you at least try to put a beating on them? Could you at least try to make something happen and not just one punch at a time and then the low blows against Consensayo? My goodness.
Okay, so I got... you're still holding... I'm sorry. Can I just say this? I think that you're still holding the Nakatila fight against him because after the Nakatila fight, Shakur has been doing just that. He's been doing that. He's standing there. He's coming for. He's been doing that. Okay. Yeah. So I forgot my train of thought, but like I said, nothing. And you're right. I see your point about the pedophile thing. It is great. That's why I like your show, man, because you're so freaking bright. But the thing is this: it's too slanted, especially that with the negotiations with the Frank Martin. Frank Martin is 28 years old. He turned down 10 times what he made the last what he could have made. You can't compare the Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson thing of him training. And I agree, he maybe should have taken, let's say 35% or whatever. But it was a little. And Devin Haney doesn't want to be a 135 anymore. That whole thing was a smoke screen. The whole thing is he can't make the damn weight no more. You understand? So,
well, can I say
man,
this,
but like I said, man, the whole.
Yeah, let me say this. Let me say this because, by the way, I did say that from what I looked at, it seems like Frank Martin's side is on the run here for this failed fight. But I also got to apologize to Gonzalo because I was speaking for him. I was speaking for Gonzalo. Gonzalo, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have spoken for you, because I just wanted to get a couple of retorts in there. But if you want to reiterate what you said to the caller, or maybe if you want to clarify what you meant about that failed negotiation between Martin and Shakur Stevenson.
Well, it's really nothing personal. When it comes to the boxing, man, like, okay, right now you mentioned that he's changed it up in regards to, like, trying to trade with you ever since Nakatila. But that's the stylistic things, and we got to look. He doesn't fare well with the puncher. He does not want to exchange. Maybe he changed it up against a different style, right? But when it comes to a puncher in the future, thinking about what's coming next in regards to, like, the quality opposition that he faces, when he faces another power puncher, is he really gonna regress or go back to the style that he fought Nakatila in? Now, yeah, he'd be looking different against fighters that don't punch as hard as Nakatila. As far as, like, entertaining, we saw what Joel Gonzalez has done ever since he lost to a Shakur. He's given us 3 entertaining fights, so you can't really say that I'm hating because of that. The negotiation thing, about 50-50. Hey, Frank Martin's also undefeated. Frank Martin can beat everybody on Shakur's record, and Shakur can beat everybody on Martin's record. So why are you offering this dude only $1 million when you want to cash in on 5? Are you really selling out the joint, or you're sinking out the joint? Because he considers himself like this next future superstar on the likes of Floyd Mayweather. I get that, but Floyd, when he actually started making the money, was when he fought De La Hoya in 2007. Many years after being Pretty Boy Floyd. So that's all I'm saying.
Hey, caller, let me ask you this. Caller, what do you think about people addressing Shakur Stevenson by his first name? Shakur, as if they know the guy. Now I've seen people on Twitter calling him Kur. They're not even calling him his full first name. They're just Kur.
I think that's ridiculous, man. But I will say this. In the future, I think that the fight that's going to, I believe that the fighter who's going to give him the most trouble, and I don't want to see it now, because I don't think it's ready now. I think, what's his name, Navarrete, right? And I'll tell you why. Navarrete presents to Shakur something he's never seen, his awkward style, right? And I think that Shakur, being a classically trained boxer,
the first name,
through the ranks, through the Olympic, sees those styles, righties, lefties, orthodox fighters. He sees those angles of those punches coming. And in between Shakur and Navarrete, Shakur is going to have to rely on reflexes alone to get out of the way of his punches. And the other thing that Navarrete doesn't get a lot of credit for, I heard you show the time when he just fought with his last fight, and I think he did a really great job, except that I don't think that Navarrete gets enough credit for the boxer he is. I've seen Navarrete since the first Dog Day fight, and just kind of like fight, and then I started looking like the fights before. He's fought some people that he's not getting credit. He doesn't get credit for beating Ruben Villa, right? And Ruben Villa is very highly touted, and when the top guy signs him, it's like a big deal. But, dude, you don't get credit for beating that guy when you're the one that moved up into his division and fought him for a vacant belt? Okay, but that's not here or there. The thing that Navarrete does is that he actually sets up that uppercut. People think that it's just a lucky, but it's not. What he does is that he kind of like jabs to the outside of the shoulder, gets you to dip one way, and then he fakes that, and boom, he throws the uppercut. Bang. Mm-hmm. The other thing he doesn't get credit for is for being a switch hitter, and not on some gay shit. And that's not it. Pause. But what I'm trying to say is that let's say that Crawford gets a lot of credit because of his ability to go southpaw and orthodox. Marvin Hagler, the guy. I give credit to Crawford, but Crawford doesn't do that smoothly. Crawford does it from round to round, and you could tell when he switches. Marvin Hagler used to do it from punch to punch. Navarrete is like that, and I'm not saying that Navarrete is like Hagler. What I'm saying is that when he switches from left to right, you can't tell. It's seamless. It's completely seamless.
Yeah, some great points there.
So. But I don't think he should fight him now. I think that Navarrete needs to unify against somebody, Cordina, Foster, whomever, to make that fight better.
Listen, that's
in my opinion.
Hopefully Top Rank finally find out that they have to put Navarrete in, that they got a marketable star in there with Navarrete who's actually entertaining. But listen, caller, good points. At the end of the day, we all just want the best
Great
fights.
Show.
Thank you. At the end of the day, we all just want the best to fight the best. So let's cross our fingers and hope these guys actually step up and make it happen. So call back next time as well, all right? Take it easy out there.
All right. Thank you, my brother. Peace.
Thank you. Peace. All right. Don't forget, everybody, to hit the like button. Hit the like. Don't forget to subscribe. You have to subscribe already. The phone lines are open. Phone numbers in the left and middle portion of your screen. Shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution to Super Chat. He says, Top Rank will rob you. What's he saying? Top Rank will rob you going the decision with Shakur. I think that's what he means. I think that he's saying that if you go the distance with Shakur Stevenson, Top Rank will rob you. I mean, I don't know. Look, listen, the guy failed to make weight. He hit Valdez in the nuts, and then he went the extra mile against Conceição, really trying to brutalize his testicles. So, I don't know. And then he's got the Jay Prince connection. So maybe, I don't know, I'm speculating here. I admit, I could be wrong. But maybe that's one of the reasons, or multiple reasons, why people are a little hesitant to get in there with that team. Let's go to another phone call here real quick. Let's go to 214. 214, you're in the air. 214, what's on your mind?
Hey, guys. I'm looking forward to this weekend. Friday first, because it's Venado. Venado is a very interesting fighter, he looked very, like, he just came up, like, the hard way. They try to make him a B-side. He's been a B-side for a very long time. He's been traveling and beating people in their backyards. And, I think he's a good fighter. But I don't know if he's the most skilled fighter. He's very explosive. He uses level changes to set up his uppercuts. He can throw them short, and he can throw them long. And, he's tough. And he's going to fight. I don't know if he's the best fighter at featherweight. I'm just not sure. And I still think that Gonzalez kid has a good shot of winning, a decent shot of winning, in my opinion. I think he's not going to stop him either, because he's more like Valdez, like you said. He's not like he explodes, and then he doesn't necessarily fight in spurts. I guess somewhat in spurts. But, his most effective punching is when he explodes. But he's good. Yeah, he's definitely good.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's a difficult fight right there for Venado.
Yeah. It's a tough fight. I think Gonzalez really wants to win. So he's not going to get the knockout. I don't believe he's going to knock out Joet.
Yeah, I think this fight is more difficult. I saw this one
fight when he was...
So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he's going to go the distance. I saw his one fight when he was fighting Isaac Lowe. Like, when Venado explodes, after that, he's susceptible to all types of punches, man. If you ever seen that fight, I know he's better now, but if you ever watched that fight, it's a very entertaining fight. But, you would think it wouldn't, because he was knocking the guy down. But after he knocked him down, the guy would proceed to start outboxing Venado.
If you're interested in watching, if you're interested in watching him looking subpar or having some difficulty, I don't even know if I should tell you where you can watch it, because maybe they take it down. But no, whatever. If you go to dailymotion.com and write Venado Lopez versus Andy Vences, that was a fight that took place during the pandemic. I think it was the first card after the pandemic, and he heard that the other dude But then he was also getting, the other guy was exploiting Venado's openings in there. Like you said, when he's jumping in, he's doing that chin up in the air. So there's work there to be done for Joed Gonzalez. But it's just, Joed Gonzalez has come up short so many times. Maybe he just doesn't have that that wherewithal. Or as some people like to say, he doesn't have that dog. You know, he likes that extra dog to get it done.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we shall see, man. Anything else, caller, you want to say before we move on?
About the Shakur stuff, yeah, Shakur is accomplished in boxing, but you know, everybody has him winning all these fights in hypothetical matchups. So, but it's time, you know, we should just see these fights happen. And you know, I'm looking forward to also Monday. I think Japan boxing is the only thing that's behind close to American boxing. That's the only thing that's close to entertaining to me. UK boxing sucks.
Oh.
What else is out there? Australian boxing is okay because they got Tim Tszyu and they got Jai Opataya and Tim's brother. But that's about it. And what else is out there? You know, there's no other real elite boxing.
Well, listen, this year has been fantastic. 2023, a lot better than 2022, if you ask me. And if you ask a lot of people, I think they'll agree with me. So, yeah, you're right. There's something, still some criticism out there about boxing, but at least we've been getting a lot of fights that in 2022, most of us predicted were not going to take place. That includes Garcia Davis and Crawford Spence. So, hey, as long as we get the fights that we want to, that people want to see, fantastic. I'm all for it. All right, well, listen, caller, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right? Take it easy out there.
All right.
All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 760. 760, you're in the air. 760, what's on your mind?
Oh, yeah. Calling about that September 30th, T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. I think Canelo's going to get surgical with Charlo. He's gonna employ a master class. He's just going to put it on him.
When you said surgical and then you said employ, at the beginning of the word employ, I thought you said implant. I thought you were going to say he was going to put tit implants or something. I said, wow, you got a word
implant? No, implant.
I don't know if you had a
implant. You're talking about Errol Spence. He's getting the Tesla implant, that Neuralink, so he can come back and get that rematch. So he's getting that Tesla Neuralink implant. That's the implant you're talking about.
He's already got the tits, by the way. He doesn't need the implants. But so you're saying Canelo is going to get surgical. Now, that's interesting because let me get Gonzalo in here on this. Because Gonzalo, we talked behind the scenes about that fight and you were pretty adamant that Canelo was going to win. Now, I recently found out you kind of changed your tune a little bit. Do you disagree then with the caller that Canelo's going to get surgical on that ass?
No, I still think Canelo's going to win, but what Charlo got going for him is he's got the speed, right? I'm kind of talking over myself, but no, he's got the speed, and if he throws with Canelo, not throw before, not throw after, because if you throw before, he's gonna push you back after you're done throwing, right? And if you throw after, same thing. But if you throw with him, you might catch him before he catches you, and you're gonna disrupt his attacks. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's a good fight, and I still think Canelo wins, maybe like a split decision, 2 judges to 1. But it's gonna be an interesting fucking fight, dude.
I don't think it's gonna be a split decision. I think Canelo's hands are like precision guided missiles, and his power is like a freight train. And he's gonna employ devastating hooks, uppercuts, body shots. He's gonna keep Canelo he's gonna keep Charlo guessing. It's gonna be kind of like Charlo's trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded while it's on fire.
Well, caller, if
absolutely,
Canelo fights,
man, absolutely, because like BDA said, he sent me this clipping about John Ryder. Canelo is really like 3-4 steps ahead of you, right? When he's closing the distance, when the other fight's throwing punches to align his shots, he's cutting many of those steps out of the equation to where he's really thinking about where he's positioning you as far as like him throwing a certain punch to get you going one way and catch you. All right. And he's willing sometimes to even take 2-3 shots now to land his, not because he have a bad defense, because it's one of the great things about having the good chin. You're just gonna take many steps out of it, and you're gonna do it your way. So I agree with you. And not only that, do you get better? They say Canelo's past his prime, but he's not fighting like he was at the lower weights. He's at a higher weight. But do you get better when you throw in the sledgehammers on the heavy bag? Do you get better at that the first year doing it, the second year, or the third year? He's about on the third year where he's been going heavy on the wrecking, on everything, on the wrecking ball and all that. So now that power, he's got it to where the style that he's evolved to, he's getting it down patent. So it's one of those things. Yeah, he must be. He might be past his prime, but we're never going to see him throw as many punches. Not that he threw a whole lot at the lower weights. Now at the higher weights, he's got accustomed to his new style. So he's going heavy. I get that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Canelo's got the torch right now, man. He's got the torch. My brother used to put it. My brother, rest in peace, man. From CCD boxing. He's got the torch. Canelo's got the torch. He's in the shadow of legends like Julio Cesar, Salvador Sanchez. My personal favorite, Ricardo El Finito Lopez.
Oh.
One of the only undefeated Mexican boxers. One of my favorite boxers right there.
Hey, by the way,
yeah,
who is this?
he's got the torch right now.
Caller, who is this from? Are you from the CCD?
My brother he passed away about a week ago.
Oh shit! I'm sorry to hear that, man. But so you're not CCD?
Yeah.
I thought maybe you were somebody that I talked to before.
Yep.
But yeah, man. Listen, I'll say this about that Canelo Charlo fight. If the Canelo that beat Daniel
kept telling
Jacobs,
everybody to drink water.
Well, there you go. If Canelo shows up like he did against Daniel Jacobs, what did he say? I didn't even hear. I was just walking through it. What did he say?
Water.
I didn't hear you. What?
Who's your brother, if you don't mind me asking? With all due respect.
Everybody make sure you drink water. That's what he said.
He used to run the CCD, the other podcast.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Repit, who's been MIA for a little bit.
Yep. What Repit?
He came back.
Yeah.
Last Saturday, but yeah.
Nah, he's never coming back.
Ah, come on, don't say that. Anyway, listen, I agree with you about the if Canelo.
I'm telling you, bro. Like I'm his brother.
All right, I hope
he's my kid brother.
You never know with Repit. He always has this Machiavellian plans where he makes you think something's going on and then it's the opposite. That's how he is. He's very smart. So I'm gonna take what you're saying with a grain of salt. There,
he's my kid brother. I'm telling you, everybody, bro. Rest in peace. I mean, everybody should keep him in his prayers and everything. Like,
well, first of all,
you're never gonna hear him on a podcast.
See, this is where I call bullshit because keep him in your prayers. He's dead. If he were sick, I would, keep him in your prayers. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to believe you, what you're saying here. I don't want to believe it. I'm emotionally invested.
I promise you, bro. I promise you.
I refuse to believe it, man.
I promise you.
He's promising it, so it must be true. All right, well, listen. I'll say this, man.
You promise, bro?
I'll say this. If the Canelo that beat Jacob shows up, right. I think he beats.
I'm telling you, Canelo's got the torch right now. He's gonna run with it.
Well, we'll see, man. We'll see. I do think there's a path to victory for Charlo, but he would really have to redline it and go 120 miles per hour to pull this win off. But anyway, listen. Shout out to you, man, and hopefully everything goes well with you, and hopefully Rapid is
Emmanuel Torres.
Emmanuel Torres. All right.
Okay.
All right. Take it easy out there, man.
Pretty chill about someone who just lost a family member, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I mean, the first thing the first thing. Just a little advice: if your brother perishes, maybe you should. Maybe you shouldn't call. Maybe that's the first thing that you should say on the boxing podcast, and not your Canelo opinion. And then
I love that guy with all my heart, bro. I love that guy with all my heart. I'm here to represent him.
All right,
we can tell, bro.
All right, well, take it easy out there. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right, man? Take it easy out there. Yeah, he kind of freaked me out there with the whole Rapid being dead. I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
He didn't really sound sick, though, but Rapid did sound sick, and he told me, man, like, after he hung the show up, after he finished the show, he's like, man, I don't feel good. So,
I don't know, man. Listen, it's hard to know nowadays on the internet if somebody's trolling or if it's part of a larger, grander plan, but hopefully Rapid's okay, man. All right, now listen.
I don't think that's how we'll find out if something bad happened, BDA.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, hey, let me give you my Canelo prediction first, and then I'll tell you, hey, you know that guy that everybody liked? Yeah, he's dead. You know, rest in peace. All right, well, listen, I gotta go take. I gotta go to I gotta go to latrine real quick. I want to leave you guys with because I want to talk about this. Demetrius Andrade is talking about a potential Benavidez fight. Who knows if it's fucking gonna happen actually? But he's saying, "I am nothing like Caleb Plant. I'm 10 times a different fighter than Caleb Plant. He's got ability for himself, but I think he's talking about Benavidez at this point. He's got ability for himself. I don't think he's the most athletic. I think I'm really athletic. I can change the rhythm. I can make it all happen." I don't know what he means by "I can make it all happen," but I think he's intimating that he will be able to do what Plant failed to do. Guys, talk about this a little bit if you could, and I'll be right back.
Yo.
Yeah, what do you think, Rapid? What do you think about Duty Andre?
About Poo Poo? I think I've seen him doing training videos, right, with his new trainer, and I've seen him putting on the weight. He looks really heavyweight, you know. And whenever these guys go up, someone who depends on his speed to be faster than his opponent and use his legs, when you start gaining too much weight, the power he'll gain from that, because he does have some power early in fights, it won't be worth what he loses in speed because it's essential to his style. So I don't think he'll be able to do at 168 like what he could do at 154 and 160. And we've seen it already against that Desmond Nicholson guy. He dropped him with the body shot. You know, Andrade, dropped him back, but he couldn't get him out of there. And he had like a lackluster performance. He didn't look particularly fast. You know, when he gets in there with someone like and Billy just fought this dude Nicholson, and he blasted him out of the ring in 4 rounds. So that even made Andrade's performance look even worse. So when he gets in there with Benavidez, I feel like Benavidez will have an easier time with Andrade than he did with Caleb Plant. I think he'll whoop his ass.
That's a good observation when you're going up in weight, and maybe he loses a little bit of the speed, because with him it's got to be the perfect blend of speed and power in order to land the nice shots, that are like that we're dropping these opponents at the lower weight class. Because like with Canelo, I mean, he's lost speed, but it's a different style. He's gonna take your two or slip your shot to land his. But with him, he's keeping the same style. So now that he's going up in weight, to remain the same as he was at 160 is fucking impossible. You gotta lose something, or whether you blend it with the perfect combination where you maybe lose a little speed, but you got a little bit more weight behind the punch, where it's still counting, but down the stretch he will get more tired. Yeah, right. He might do well in that department where he's still got a little bit of that blend going, but down the stretch he's gonna start, because he's tall, long, and gangly. He's gonna start becoming more disheveled because he already showed signs of that. Right? He moves back in a straight line. He's got the long arms. When he ain't keeping it tight no more, it's fucking everything is going wide and not by design. There's a lot of openings. He starts getting a little disheveled, like I said. And he basically just steps back in a straight line. So, he becomes a little clumsy. So it's one of those things, I think, too.
Hey, sorry to interrupt this great breakdown that you're giving Gonzalez always, but a lot of people are talking. This dude did essentially what if indeed he was trolling, he accomplished what he wanted to, because now everyone's talking about if Rapid really got smoked. Listen, first, and by the way, somebody else called Rapid a racist. I don't even know. Have people actually gone on the channel? Right on the disclaimer, it says anti-racism. That's the hashtag for CCD. So I don't understand why people keep going on with that. That's fake news, as far as I'm concerned. The whole thing that it's a racist channel. Second of all, look, listen, people, take what you hear on the internet, especially on this fucking show. Somebody that calls on this show and tells you that there's aliens on his rooftop, you might want to take it with a grain of salt. So I'm just saying, let's don't panic. That's all I'm saying. But by the way, Gonzalo, somebody's asking, did he really sound sick when you were talking to him? Maybe did he sound sick or just tired?
Something with the kidneys. I told her, man, there's this girl that like a week before I had saved her because our car, a garage door made out of steel fell out the railing. Well, I didn't save her. A coconut tree did. It blocked the door from falling on her head. But kind of like the movie, what's the movie where bad shit happens to you? all the time in Final Fantasy or Final Destiny.
No, Final Destination.
Yeah, like a week later, she got sick from her kidneys. Well, Mateo was in the hospital because we were staying there at her pad. Something happened with her kidneys, and she was only like 21 years old. She died, and I told Rip, "Hey, man, like I told her about that girl that the week before she was about to die, but she didn't. But the week after she did, and then that lights were ended. He did another one, and after he hung up, he's like, "Hey, man, I don't feel good." And I told him, "Hey, be careful." Remember, you were there too, BD, when he said drink water, and he said sometimes it's bad to drink too much water, but you said, "Nah, that rarely happens." No, well, that's true. But I'm just saying, dude, like I sent him a personal message. He hasn't responded. Hopefully not. God willing, he's okay. I don't necessarily believe that guy that was on there. I just don't, because like you said, I thought the same thing. How are you going to keep somebody in your prayers when you die, there's no more? It's like turning off a candle. There's no more memory.
He's tripping over himself.
Yeah, listen,
so hopefully not, man. Hopefully not.
I'm your leader in the chat saying he's fine. Yeah, I think people are. This is how rumors start, by the way. And we're certainly guilty of that. But I mean, hey, listen, it's good for views every once in a while. In any event, whether he's sick or not, look, we're 3 Mexicans on the panel today. It's weird, just all Mexicans, but it is what it is. So let's start praying for La Virgen. Let's pray to La Virgen de Guadalupe that everything's fine. All right, there we go. She'll make it all right. All right, listen. So what were you guys saying about Benavidez? And first of all, there's again another fight that might not even fucking happen. How long have they been talking about that? It's been the last time Benavidez fought was in April, and they're still talking about whether it's going to happen or not.
Well, Never Sober brought a good point up, and I was like, okay, he looks a little bit more heavier. Obviously, he's going up in division, so he is going to have more weight. He's going to be heavier, but so with him, it's got to be the perfect blend of speed to like throw with power. Now, if he's heavier, he's going to lose a little bit of the speed. And you know, down the stretch, he's gonna get more tired, in my opinion, because he already becomes a little like disheveled, like I mentioned many times. So with it's kind of like the whole Berlanga effect. You might throw hard in the beginning, but then the more you gotta lug that muscle around to throw punches, the more you're gonna get tired and the wider. I know that's a totally different style, but maybe it works for a Canelo, because Canelo, he's gone slower, but he fights you where he wants to beat you down. He's gonna throw his two. He's gonna throw his one in between your punches, and he's gonna sometimes catch two or slip one in order to get his shot, his 1 or 2 shot off. But with him, with Andrade, he's throwing, but he's basically the same style. He can't keep throwing the way he was doing at 60 because obviously he got more weight on his body.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's one of those things.
Well, we saw the photo, right? Where he looks like he's a little like he's working with. Well, he's been working with Snack a long time. So if he wants to move up in weight, I'm pretty sure he's going to be moving up in weight with muscle on, if you know what I mean. He's not going to be packing fat. So like Gonzalo and Never Sobers have been saying, how is that going to affect him? Because he's already shown subpar stamina. I refer you to the Jack Colkay fight and the Liam Williams fight. And even the oh shit, his name is escaping me now at this time of the night, but Sulensky, the Polish guy, I think that's still his best win. But after 6 rounds, he was just relying on making the dude miss and every once in a while winging a wild left hand that wasn't doing anything, even when it landed, which most of the time it wasn't because it was just so disheveled. So he's going to have to step it up against Benavidez in the stamina department. But after what I saw against Benavidez with Plant, Benavidez, Andrade has a shot. I think he's got better footwork than Caleb Plant. I think he's got a better ability when he's tired to get away from his opponent. And I think his clinch game, even though I hate clinching, is better than Caleb Plant. So there's a path to victory for Andrade, but it's just at 35 years of age with his stamina issues. I don't know. I really don't know. And by the way, people are talking about Christian and Billy, who fought last Friday against Damon Nicholson, who really needed to take away the D at the end of his first name and fight like a demon, and he did not. He got his ass plastered against Billy, which is something that Berlanga couldn't do. And Andrade, obviously, I mean, I know he's not a puncher, so I don't hold it against him, but Billy managed to do something that those guys couldn't do. He also beat Ellis. I forget his first name, not Rashidi Ellis, but one of those Ellis brothers who gave Benavidez a tough... Roland, what's his name? Ronald or Roland?
Ronald. He's Canelo's sparring partner, right?
Yeah, he's a big dude too. He's a big dude and he's mobile and everything. That's one of Benavidez' best wins for me, or underrated wins. But that and Billy couldn't stop that dude, whereas Benavidez could. So, but to Billy's credit, he did also beat Gongora, who's the type of guy that if you're not ready for him, or if you're not the real deal, he will find you out. And Billy beat him. So, and Billy's looking like he's on his way to a title shot, a real title shot. He's already, 27, 28, 29? So time is of the essence. He's not a kid. He's not a prospect. What did you guys make of the Billy fight? Did you watch it last Friday or?
Yeah, I saw it. And Billy looked good. He made Andrade look really bad, I think, because he knocked him out in 4 rounds and Berlanga. I would like to see someone like Billy fight Caleb Plant. I think that'd be an interesting fight.
Yeah, well, who would you pick in that one?
That'd be hard. I think Caleb Plant might be able to outbox him because the way Billy fights, I would compare him a little bit to Oscar Valdez. You know, he throws everything with every shot, and he'll kind of be predictable one at a time because he's trying to knock you out with everything. Mm-hmm. And Desmond Nicholson kind of couldn't get away from him. He was fighting kind of scared, so Billy could kind of just line up his shots, step around him, and really blast him until he caught him. He wasn't really offering any resistance. So I think Caleb Plant could tag him while he's trying to swing wide and hard and get out the way. It'd be an interesting fight because Caleb Plant would eventually slow down. And then Billy does hit hard.
I was going to say something.
I think okay, Billy, go ahead, or I can just go.
No, because I
think
wasn't
he's really
sure
good.
I wasn't sure if you were going to go, so you go.
Yeah, he's really good. I saw some highlights. Couldn't find the full fight, but one thing that I do notice about Billy is he is relentless. He does hit very hard. Maybe not like a one-punch type of knock you out power, although it's really close. He hits like with an 8 or a 9 sometimes. But the thing about him, he is relentless. He keeps on insisting. He's never going to take no for an answer as far as like going in there and trying to beat you up. And he doubles up on the punches, triples up sometimes. Sometimes doubling up and tripling up with one hand saves you a lot of time. You're not going back and forth with either hand. You're just keeping it with one hand and doubling up on a combination. And so it was one of those things. He hits really hard and he keeps insisting once again, but particularly to the body. He will keep going to the body, and that's going to have like where he's going to break you down and get you out of there later. So I really like his fighting style because he is relentless.
Taking no for an answer, that's something that could get you in trouble with the ladies nowadays with the whole Me Too thing. But you're right, man. I think that's a great way of describing him. That he, like against Gongora, he got stunned twice in that fight, if I remember correctly. Once early and then a little bit later in the fight. But then in the last round, he threw it all out the window and or everything in the kitchen sink at Gongora and almost stopped him. So like you said, he's insistent on people and his opponents. And that is something that's tiresome, not to mention unpleasant. Maybe that's why a lot of people might not want to fight him. But I want to touch on what Never Sobers 2 said about the Caleb Plant fight. But we got a phone call here. Don't forget that the phone lines are open right now. You guys get to call in. So let's go to the phone. Let's go to 347. You're on the air. 347. What's on your mind?
Gentlemen, how are you? Can you guess who this is?
Is this NPR guy?
NPR guy, exactly. I don't think my voice ever changes, does it?
No, it does not, man.
How you guys been? It's been about 3 months. The last time I spoke to you, I called you from a hospital bed. I took ill, and it was in June, I believe, I called last. So I'm just wondering how everybody's doing, and is everybody okay and enjoying life and happy so far?
Well, I think we should ask you the question. I mean, are you recovering from the penile implant? Everything went well? You happy with the...
Very much so. Well, it's the leg shaving that I'm not used to yet. I got to get used to having my nard shaved. But I have a question for Gonzalo in particular, because he seems to be the resident kind of technical expert that you got over there. What do you see as some of the keys or the key to victory for Charlo versus Canelo?
Oh,
Yes, NPR. I think he needs to get. Well, I got a feedback. Let me just lower my voice. I think he needs to exchange with Canelo because he's probably gonna be the quicker man because Canelo is gotten a little bit slower, not because of age, because of the muscle. Right? He throws everything heavy. Not say that Canelo isn't fast, but I just think that Charlo moving up in weight, he's still gonna be a hair quick trick, a hair faster than Canelo. So he's got to exchange. He got to get froggy. Whether he doesn't throw before, because if he throws before, Canelo's going to push him back after he throws. He's going to catch him a little tired and he's going to push him back with combos against the ropes. If he throws after, he's going to catch him. If he throws after Canelo, no. Hold on. If he throws, he's got to throw. He's got to throw with Canelo. He's got to throw with Canelo to disrupt his attacks, right? So I think that's what he needs to do. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. No, you were busting up a little bit. I don't know if it's on my end or the radio end or who the hell knows on the internet. But one of the things that I noticed, and I think I'm not sure who brought up the point. That the pace has to be set for Charlo. Charlo's definitely got to come out with a high volume pace. I think that's very important. But one of the things I noticed about the Bivol fight is that if you take a look at basically all of Canelo, especially over his amazing streak since fighting Floyd Mayweather, he fights from basically the set. So he plays a game of working the pendulum step back and forth and rocking his body back and forth in from distance and out of distance. And what Bivol did is he occupied, he kept a very, very active jab occupying Canelo's high guard. He forced Canelo into never getting set. As soon as Canelo would rock to the front foot and get set, now that could be either to set offense or to throw counter shots. Bivol was always interrupting that rhythm, always interrupting it, and he did it the whole night. And it was simply occupying that high guard with the jab, never letting Canelo get into a set where he could react or initiate. So that's what I see happening if Derek James is smart enough to and acute enough to force that kind of thing on Charlo to learn. I don't know that Charlo has the ability to do that, and without that, I don't see that Charlo's going to be able to keep Canelo off of him. Now, what was the name of the fighter at 154 that fought Charlo? What was the name of him that gave him all kinds of hell and he he just looks. Say it again.
Well, there's a couple of guys. There's Tony Harrison. Well, there's Tony Harrison who beat him the first time.
No, the guy that got him a bad decision.
Oh, Castaño. You're talking about the Argentinian fella.
Castaño, yeah, he would have been a good kind of candidate for what I'm talking about. But Charlo never did that. Charlo let him creep up right onto him. Let him crowd his space, which is perfect for Castaño. He lets guys get right up and exchange with him. I mean, you can't do that with Canelo. You can't do that at a mid distance with them or a long distance with them. You can't allow him to get set. And if he lets that happen, and lets Brian Castaño in on his space and crowd up his space, then by God, certainly Canelo's going to be able to do it. So unless he's able to disrupt Canelo's rhythm by not letting him get set, I don't see Charlo standing much chance in this fight. Anyway, gentlemen, it's been wonderful speaking with you again, and I'm going to let you guys go. Okay, God bless.
All right.
Hold on, NPR. Sorry, it's not that I had a bad connection. I just had a brain freeze. Look, this is what it is. Sorry. When if you throw
Yeah, go ahead.
before or
Say
you
it again.
throw after Canelo does, he's gonna push you back. He's gonna get you off balance. So you gotta throw with him because if you throw before or you throw after, he's just gonna get you off balance. And it's not. He's a counter puncher, but it's not gonna get you off balance based off combinations. He's gonna get you off balance with body pressure, with the pressure he puts on you when he presses you. So he's gonna press you and he's gonna bulldoze you against the ropes, and he's gonna get you off balance. So what you gotta do is he's gonna get you off balance regardless because you throw after or before, throw with him because he's gonna get you off balance regardless. So throw with him and try to land the first shot. Then get out of the way. In other words, keep it to a 3-punch combination and throw a feint in between. Because what that feint will allow you to do is if you need to pull back on one of the punches because you're reading the exchanges, you can not commit and scurry back with the legs. Get out of the exchanges. So stick to a 3-punch combination, throw a feint in between, and throw with Canelo. Don't throw after or before because he's still gonna bulldoze you. Anyways.
Yeah, I can see that happening. So that would be your approach. How does that? I mean, Bivol didn't do that, right? Bivol didn't do that. Do you think that Bivol didn't really take that kind of approach? Bivol did the approach I witnessed, right? We all witnessed it. So how do you reconcile that with Charlo? Are you suggesting? I mean, I'm suggesting that Charlo could try a path. Obviously, there may be one more other path to victory. But what I'm suggesting is that Charlo could take the Bivol path, which is not to punch with Canelo, which is a fine suggestion. I'm not saying it isn't. But do you think that as far as what I suggested, that Charlo has the ability to do that? Do you think they'll be able to spot that?
No, just one thing, BDA. No, because remember, Bivol's 175 pounder, so when he's coming in and out, he's like a rolling car with more mass than Charlo. So that's where he was offsetting Canelo's ability to put pressure and bulldoze you. No, that was a bigger man. Charlo isn't.
Well, there you go, NPR. Hopefully, that answers some of your questions.
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point. All right, gentlemen. With that, I'll let you go. I thought that that was a great exchange that we too just had. I think technique is going to be the thing that rules this next fight. Whether Charlo is able to step up, whether Derek James is able to figure this out, but as far as I don't want to give it. I'll probably call back for my. When is the fight taking place? By the way,
it's taking place on September the 30th, and we're going to be covering that fight from all angles once it approaches. So there'll be a lot of time.
All right, so I'll save my prediction till then.
All right,
fantastic. Okay, guys.
Well, good to hear from you, NPR guy.
All right, God bless. DSVO.
Bye bye. Hope you feel better. All the health in the world to you. Take it easy out there. All right, that was NPR guy right there, making a comeback with the voice, the golden voice, as some people like to call it. Now listen, I'm going to get back to business here. There's not that much going on right now in boxing. I don't know if you guys want to turn this into an open panel, like an open lines, and just go to the voice chat. Let me ask a couple of people, see if they're down to do that. But with the Benavidez thing, look, somebody said in the chat, Andrade Benavidez, yeah. Andrade probably gets somebody in his corner probably throws a towel in. I can see that, but after what I saw from Plant against Benavidez, Benavidez really just get that mummy style of his. He fights like a mummy. He's straight up, right? A little bit like George Foreman. That gives the other dude room to circle around him. The problem with a lot of guys that fight Benavidez, by the way, once they pivot away from him, they run all the way across the ring to the other side of the ring to get as much distance as possible, because I guess that's how dangerous the guy is. They shouldn't do that. They should retake the center of the ring. And I know it's easier said than done, but if anybody has the footwork to do that, it's probably Andrade. But again, it's just that stamina of his. It's horrible, especially at 35. He's not going to get better, I don't think.
Yeah, I think he's going to do one of those looping shots and then throw himself off balance and Benavidez is gonna start wailing on him. You know what I mean, and following him around because I don't know what people talk about all these skills that Andrade guys. The dude fights really, really off balance, and he doesn't throw like a lot of shots clean. I don't think. You know, he's kind of like he picks his shots and just tries to get out the way, but it's an ugly way of getting out the way. You know what I mean?
I got you. No,
Yeah, he moves back in a straight line. And Liam Williams was catching him all night and very limited. Look, if Liam Williams was catching him, and okay, give credit, we gotta say Andrade got the long legs, but he's still stepping back in a straight line, and Benavidez got the big legs too. He's gonna walk him down with 2-3 steps and keep the pressure on him.
Yeah, that's essentially how it is. But it's just, first of all, I didn't even know if that fight happens because it would have to be on pay-per-view. Knowing Benavidez and Andrade, they're probably going to ask for 7 million or something because it's a hard fight, so they're going to want to get paid accordingly. But unfortunately, they're not draws. They're not stars. So they'd probably have to put that on pay-per-view. It would do horrible on pay-per-view. So maybe that's what's preventing the PBC from pulling the trigger. But just making it already. That's why also Andy Ruiz, by the way, just recently came out. He says, I want to fight Fury. I want to fight Wilder. I'd like to fight Usyk. And I'm thinking, what do you think? Who's going to put up the money for those fights? Certainly not the PBC. You got to go to the Zone or ESPN to get any of those type of fights. So, he's hopeful.
And people sometimes forget, man, that Ruiz did it to himself. He isolated himself. Everybody that he's worked with is basically passed on him because his lack of dedication. ESPN, Top Rank. Top Rank. The Zone. I don't know what the relationship with Eddie Hearn is, but he calling out Joshua like the third fight's gonna happen. Man, everybody's they giving up on Andy Ruiz. Maybe he's the last one to realize that.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's, for example, what's his name? I'm Your Leader in the chat. Shout out to I'm Your Leader. He says that he's given up on Ruiz. And look, I like Ruiz. I think he's got a great ability of eclectic mix of hand speed and power, which is always dangerous. But the point is this. He's like I'm Your Leader. Like Gonzalez said, he's been doing it to himself. That's why the people that ride with him and continue to ride with him, yeah, maybe he'll surprise us again with one win, but he's not a consistent guy, man. He's shown it already. He's just there to disappoint you. And here's what he had to say recently about the Joshua rematch. He's taking it as a moral victory. Look at what he said. He says, I would like to face Anthony Joshua, he says. I didn't do nothing right. I didn't train in the rematch. How did I last 12 rounds? That was for him to knock me out easy. This time, when I do get the crown and become heavyweight champion of the world, I'm going to do everything right and stay champion. I mean, a leopard can change its spots, but for some reason with Ruiz, he needs to prove it, man. He needs to get back on the saddle, as it were, and really shows what's up.
Yeah, and I know he's drinking for sure every day because he's doing some videos where maybe he's training hard, but he's still drinking that wine in the nighttime. You can tell in the way he's talking.
Yeah, you're right, man. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, how do you determine that he's drinking wine?
Well, I mean, there's some videos of him with his new girlfriend on the Mexican gossip channels that popped up on my feed. And he's dating what's his name?
Hold on, Gonzalez. That pop up, they just pop up randomly on your feed. Come on.
Well, no, sometimes, I like the gossip too. I go into the Ventaneando with Pati Chapoy and, the Mexican cheese miss. I'm there. Okay, you caught me. Yeah.
Right, go ahead, man.
So, what's the girl that died on the airplane? The Mexican singer. She's got a brother. I forget, Lupillo Rivera. He's dating Lupillo Rivera's ex. So he traded a younger girl that he got kids with the 40+ heavyweight. She's also a heavyweight. It's like that. So she's kicking it with this new girl, and then he's drinking the wine. And now that I've gotten to know Andy, I know how he is sober. And when he's drinking, I can see the difference. So it's one of those things that I can relate to. Obviously. Yeah.
Have you seen his lady, the one he left his girl for? They look almost exactly the same.
Is that right?
Yeah, but she's heavier though, right? She's bigger.
Yeah, they look really similar.
That's fucking. I don't know how to describe. I mean, apparently Andy Ruiz knows what he likes. He's got a particular type that he goes for. So good for him. Good for him. But yeah, that's the thing though. It's look, this guy was fucking stuffing his face with nachos a week or 2 weeks before the Joshua rematch. And I know it's a heavyweight division. You don't really have to watch your weight that much, but could you at least, he showed up at near 300 pounds. Yeah.
Let me tell you some chisme that my cousin told me since Gonzalo was talking about that.
Go ahead.
My cousin recently went to Mexico and he went to that place, Hong Kong. That I guess it's in TJ, right? That famous brothel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said one of the girls came up to my cousin and her selling point was that she'd fucked Andy Ruiz.
How is that a selling
funny,
point?
right?
What the? How is that a selling point?
She felt like bringing that up to him for some reason.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's if you can spend enough time doing that training and putting in that real, By the way, though, Andy Ruiz again, he's asking for more motherfucking money, as they say in the streets, and he's got to level it out a little bit, asking for that type of money. But I mean, good for him that he's fucking. I mean, listen, you can tell by his body type, he likes to live it up. He enjoys all aspects of his life: food, drink, maybe a little music, and banging a bunch of TJ hookers. So
he likes everything in excess. You can tell.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. He probably goes down on the hookers. I think I've talked about it before. There was a guy that I knew who used to go down on hookers. I go, oof, that's living on the edge right there, man. Keeping it risky.
Was his name Bucho? Wiilliam?
No. Come on.
Yeah,
why you got to throw Bucho under the bus?
It's a guy. He's probably a guy that him being like a fat kid when he was little didn't necessarily get the shine with the women. Like he's probably getting now with all that money and the ability to buy the nice clothes. So he's got a lot of reservation inside of him, right? He's kind of a late bloomer in that department. Oh man, now I can portray myself as like the what are like those fat dudes that think they act like they're dons because they got everything going for him and the chicks like them. Like what's the dude, the fat dude that died, Biggie Smalls. He's like the Biggie Smalls of the world, right? For a Mexican.
Yeah, something like that. There you go. Built like Biggie Smalls, that's for sure.
Yeah, the fact that, like you said, so many people have parted ways with him is that something's going on with him. He needs to step it up. And look, he's got a lot of ability, man. The hand speed, the reflexes, the timing, the power, the way he dropped Ortiz, man. Jeez Louise, that was some fucking heavy-handed stuff. He just needs to put it all together, man. He can eat all he wants once he's retired.
Talk about the crazy bolos, no BDA.
The what?
The crazy bolos, the overhands, man. That dude got power. Like in the back of his neck, I see him like a bear. You know how like the bear scratch up the boulders from the ground and they got that fucking hump on the back of the, what do you call that big bone on your neck on the backside, like in the center of the shoulder blades? That's Andy Ruiz. When he throws them hooks, especially that voladito over the top, dude, and he's shorter. Motherfuckers, like he's catching you like when you said Ortiz, dude. A lot of power on them hooks, on the fucking on the haymakers.
He fucking sends. I mean, I know it's not always indicative of a hard punch, but the way the sweat was flying in that one, push. I mean, it's just dropping the old dude. He couldn't stop him, but he dropped him about 3 times, I believe. So for a guy that's 6 feet 1 inch tall, but he's packing a lot of weight on there. So I mean, he can hit a lot, very hard, very hard. Hopefully, he puts it all together.
Explosive, and that's why I can't really say that being a fat dude kind of like bogs you down because it's not like muscle, but it's still weight. It's still weight. So when he's throwing that hook, all that weight is coming down to the edge of his glove, to the hand. All that power.
Marty McFly in the chat says the quote from Manny Robles was, "Andy Ruiz does what Andy Ruiz wants."
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I would tell them? They keep referring to me as the caller in the chat. I'm on the panel, guys.
What's that?
I said, I think a couple people were referring to me as the caller in the chat. I'm on the panel, y'all.
The caller. Yes, that happens sometimes. I've seen that, like somebody that's never heard the show before, and like let's say for example, Gonzalez talking, and somebody go, "This caller doesn't know what he's talking about." Caller, like, what do they think everyone's a caller now? No, man. There's sometimes there's people on the actual panel. But I'll say this about Ruiz, man. If I were I think you got to give him some tough love. and be realistic with the guy. Blunt is what I'm trying to go for. And I would tell him, look, you looked at the type of guy that's probably going to die of a heart attack one day. Okay? You're a pig. Cerdo. But what I want you to understand is right now you can be a successful pig. You can be the best pig out there, the most successful pig ever. So train now, take this fight seriously, and then once the career is over, you can gorge yourself with food, look like that guy from the movie Seven. Remember that? What was one of the sins? Sloth? No, not sloth.
Gluttony.
Gluttony, yeah, thank you.
Gluttony.
You can look like that. Yeah, you can end up like that when you want to at the end of your life. But for now, you got a small window to make something happen. That's what I would tell him. That's what I would tell him.
I think something. BD, sorry, Naruto. I know you want to say something, but the people like these promotional companies, for one, they've already like kind of like we don't want to deal with you because you're hard to deal with. But he's inconsistent. So moving forward, what can he guarantee you? Like, okay, if you put him in against a fighter and let's say you make him the A side, and he fucking wins. Can you really give you a profitable return in the future because he's so inconsistent?
Exactly.
So a lot of people don't want to deal with that, and he can't fool the world because people are not stupid. With him, he's only looking for that one big payday, especially since now he divorced his wife. You want to like make tens of millions of dollars, maybe 10 million, for example. Then you get that money. Then now all of a sudden you're rich again. You don't got the wife, and you go on to living the way you were when all these other promotional companies turned their back on you because they know it. They know already the way he is.
Exactly. Sort of shot himself in the foot there a little bit. So hopefully he gets his act together and ends up actually getting a good shot because he's got ability, and there's nothing more, or there are a few things I should say, more displeasing than wasted talent. I'll tell you what, though. Chris Eubank Jr., who's acting now like he's a pound for pounder because he beat Liam Smith. And it took him 2 tries to get the guy to get the win. The first one, he got his ass knocked out. Now he's saying that because they asked him, hey, what about fighting the winner of Janibek versus Gualtieri? And he says, the public doesn't know. I don't know who they are. That means the public doesn't know who they are. This is what he had to say exactly. He says, the names you just mentioned. He said, the names you just mentioned, I genuinely haven't seen these guys fight before. I don't know who they are. And I'm in the game. So the general public are not going to know who these guys are, which means it's hard for them to tune in if you're making it a pay-per-view event, which a world title should be. First of all, why should a world title bout be on pay-per-view? If it's not for a real championship, if it's just for a shit title, why the fuck should it be on pay-per-view? Guys, I think Eubank Jr. at 33 years of age, by the way, he's not 23 anymore. He's not a little puppy that, there's still room for improvement, blah, blah, blah. He's 33 years of age. It's like, does he want to leave his mark in boxing now? Apparently, what they're talking about is a Conor Benn fight. That's still alive.
Oh, that would be terrible. I feel like that was always a dumb idea. But it's like if they had Joe Frazier's grandson at Top Rank, they found him on the street, and they gave him a couple fights, and then they made a pay-per-view fight between Joe Frazier's grandkid and Ali Walsh. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
That's how I feel like they're doing that. Like they really should have been in the ring together.
Yeah, it's
one thing that I did notice though. Sorry, BD.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
One thing that I did notice though, man, is Eubank. I like the way he throws punches, man. He's got speed and he got power, man. In my opinion, he's I don't know about a good fighter like mobility wise in a light fight for now, because I don't know if he's a late starter or not. I forget how old he is, but the way he's looking with the striking that heavy bag, and then never mind the mitts. I don't pay too much attention to the mitts, but that heavy bag, he's explosive, man. He got good technique.
Gonzalo, I've said it before on this channel many times, man. He's got good firepower, the uppercuts especially, the body punching, and that's why. Harkening back to Luis, there's a few things more displeasing than the wasted talent. That's what this guy had. I'm not saying he was Roy Jones type of talent, but he had good ability, speed, power. And look, when he fought Billy Joe Saunders,
I'm talking about the other guy. I'm talking about Conor Benn.
Oh, well, okay. Well, first of all, what I said still stands about Eubank Jr. All right, that's number one. Don't step on me on that one, Gonzalo. I'll take you out. No, but Conor Benn, yeah, you're right. Conor Benn is, well, you know what happened though, Gonzalo? Now there's an asterisk next to those knockouts that he scored against Van Herdeen and Algieri, because now people are saying, in fact, those guys are the ones that raised the issue. They go, I never felt power like that before. That means he must have been on the juice when he fought me. So there's a bit of an asterisk there. But Gonzalo, do you think Conor Benn, that juiced Conor Benn, could have beaten Eubank if the fight would have taken place last year?
Well, I don't know about the juicing part, because I can't really say that's all subjective. If he was, yeah, that'll give him more strength. But, you know, when he's training, obviously he's not on the juice. I think maybe he is, maybe he isn't, because you cycle off of that shit. But I'm just saying the way he employs his technique when getting up on the heavy bag and letting his hands fly, a mixture of speed. Obviously, speed creates power. So he's just probably naturally heavy-handed. He's studying, and it's like impressive. I've seen a lot of fools hit the bag, but the way he hits the bag is quite impressive. So I'm saying, I don't know about like in an actual, but he's fought before, but against quality, the highest level, how he looks, but the way he's looking in training, man, that dude, he's got nice combinations with a lot of power.
I agree, man.
So it's one of those things.
I agree. I think he got that from his father, that aggressiveness, because Nigel Benn, that's how he would fight, man. He would just plant his feet and just natural power. Just everyone always talks about how, well, what makes a guy hit hard, blah, blah, blah. One of the first things is, first of all, you got to have technique, but you also have to put mustard on those shots. You got to put some oomph on it. Really punch like you got some balls. And that's what Conor Benn did. Excuse me, Nigel Benn. And that's how Conor Benn is fighting. His career is solid now, though, because of the PD allegations. Even though it's stupid, because most everybody we know, I mean, we can surmise most of these guys are on something. I mean, come on. You see some of these guys, when they start their career at 23 and they're bean poles, and then by the time they're 26, 27, they're we got 15, 20 pounds of solid muscle on. It's like, look, I know they train hard, but I mean, I don't know, man. But yeah, we'll see what happens. By the way, we got a phone call here. Let's go to the phone lines. The phone lines are still open here for the moment. 415, you're on the air. 415, what's on your mind?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, 415. What's up?
Hello? About this Japanese fighter, Naoya Inoue. He's a great fighter, but my overall question is, if someone was able to stain his undefeated record, like if he loses one time, is he a failure in the sport, or is he still a great fighter?
Well, listen, everything he's already done. Everything he's already done. He's okay. Come on. Now hold on. Never said failure. Look, everything he's already done. He's an all-time great. No ifs and buts about it. A loss is not gonna sully. I mean, it could sully, because look, when you get that to the level that he's at right now, now it's about, well, where does he rank amongst the all-time greats? And everybody wants to get on that top 20 list, because I mean, boxing's been around for a while now. So if you really want to make it in the top 20 of boxers of all time, you gotta be exceptional. So if he loses, then yeah, that could hurt him to get in that ranking. But he's got a chance this year, not only to become the fighter of the year, but to really cement his position as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Because the debate is still up there about, whether it's Crawford or Inoue. If Inoue wins against Tapales this year, that's it. He had 2 solid wins, unified the division, because that's everyone's obsessed with fucking undisputed now. So he would have been undisputed in 2 weight classes in the last 2 years. I mean, that to me is number one pound for pound. But to your question, caller, yeah, I don't think a loss would hurt him all that much at this stage. He's already accomplished what he needed to. Well, what do you think?
I have one. For me, I think what he's trying to do is unify the belts. So he's trying to so his goal is so let's say he beats Tapales, and then he gets all the belts, and then next is to vacate all the belts, and then move up 1 weight class, and then look for someone who has all the belts, and then unify, and then keeps going until his body says no more. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that could happen the way he hubs divisions. I mean, I think eventually he's just going to have to keep moving up to get a challenge, and that's probably what's going to happen. He's going to end up encountering a big wall, as it were. But yeah, man, we'll see what happens, man. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
I have one more question.
Sure.
Can he surpass Manny Pacquiao?
Anyone want to weigh in on that one?
Look, I'm going to say skill-wise, he might be better than Manny Pacquiao, but Manny Pacquiao is just what he did is just. I'm not saying it can't be toppled. It could be, and Inoue's a guy that looks like he's on the path of doing that, or at least doing as good. But I think skill-wise already, Inoue might be a little bit better than him. That doesn't mean he's better. He's a historically better fighter. It's not surprising that he's making the strides that he's making in boxing when you look at his overall skill set. The perfect balance in feet, the footwork, the fucking the power, the precision, timing. He's got it all, man. I don't think I've ever seen a fighter that quite had everything like he does.
That's true. He's at an interesting crossroads in his career. He's kind of like where Pacquiao was when he fought De La Hoya. Now you got to go up and wait and fight, beat the guy at 26, maybe fight one more time, then go up to 30, then 35. Then that's when he's really going to blow up. And the entire planet is going to be like, damn, this dude is fucking a legend. Dude, right? Because you could always continue fighting in the division you're fighting now and remain undefeated. Like Lomachenko, like the Puerto Rican dude, recognized Gomez. Like, yeah, you could amass a lot of defenses, but this is his fourth weight division where now it's,
Gonzalo, you know what I would say? If he goes to 26 right now, it's already amazing what he did. There's a guy who started at 108. I think he skipped 112 and then went through 115, 118 and did wonders there. And then went to, especially at 118, and then went to 122. And let's say he becomes undisputed again, right? Which I agree with BDA. People are making too much of these belts, but it's still like impressive, right? If that's going to be your way to the Hall of Fame. I'm almost lost. Okay, here it is. So if he goes to 126 and wins the belt, he would be the second guy in history to start at bantamweight or below to ever go to 126 and win a belt. You're at that point, you're talking about legendary status. You see, the only difference is that Manny Pacquiao continued because he went from flyweight. He skipped a lot of weight classes. Unlike Inoue, he skipped a lot of weight classes because he was just naturally getting bigger. He skipped, I want to say 115 and 118, and then went to 122 and went from 120. You know, you guys know the rest. He went all the way to welterweight and dominated for many years. That's where Manny Pacquiao gets that GOAT status, where you're not just talking about an all-time great. You're talking about probably one of the best ever, the best ever. You know, that argument. But if you just look at the skill set, you look at you compare the two, what they're capable of doing. I'm not saying he blows Manny Pacquiao away, but he's just like perfect. He's almost perfect. You know, we'll see.
Let me just
almost
perfect, man.
Let me conclude here with the caller. Caller, hopefully that answered your question. Good call, and call back next time, all right, man?
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, man, listen, can I just say this about Pacquiao, man? People forget when they compare it to Mayweather and they go, yeah, but Mayweather beat him, which barely beat him, by the way. That's number one. Number two, Pacquiao shouldn't have even been there at 147. This is a guy that started off, his first title was what, 118 or 115? When he was
112.
112, jeez, Luis. Okay, so flyweight, 112, fighting at 147. And listen, it's not like he was 18, 17. And the guy was already in his 20s, early 20s. So okay, he's not a teenager anymore.
He became a flyweight champion at the age of 19, BDA. He was 19 years old.
So listen, 19, Mayweather was at around 126, 130. The way that he would end up winning his first title. So it's not like it's not like Pacquiao started off at 130 and then went up to 147. The fact that he was fighting at 147, I don't think you have to be a genetic freak to be able to do that.
Not only just fighting there, he was dominating.
Exactly. And man, look, so Inoue, look, like Recognize made the great point that Inoue does some things better than Pacquiao. I think he cuts the ring off better. I think he's technically more proficient than Pacquiao. But Pacquiao had that quick hands, incredible power, and then on top of that, something that you don't see with guys who hit hard and fast, he could throw a lot of shots throughout the fight. Just an unbelievable gas tank. He could be a volume.
His killer instinct was like Pacquiao's killer instinct is what separates him from everybody else. From him and Inoue. Now Inoue has great killer instincts too, but he does it from this perfect boxing technical ability, right? He does it from that. Manny Pacquiao does it from like this fighter warrior ability that a lot of people don't have. If I'm making any sense when it comes to fighting,
It's an incredible spring that he got on his legs when he's bouncing all over the place. And that don't really wear on your calves. A lot of people can't do that, but look at the size of them fucking monsters, right?
Absolutely.
He's got to have the biggest calves I've ever seen on a boxer, non-heavyweight boxer. Because I know David Tua had some fucking large calves as well. But yeah, that's where he got that spring from, man, and that power. I gotta believe too that came from largely because of those legs. So the caller asked a good question. Inoue is on that level right now where he's wiping the floor with guys and making it look easy, and you're thinking, okay, what the fuck? Who's gonna stop him? But look. Tapales, I'm looking forward to that fight. I would also be looking forward to the Casimero fight and even the Luis Neri fight because those guys can crack. And that's what you're going to need to beat Inoue at this point. This whole, Fulton had speed and technique, but, technically he was, that's what we were talking about when we were breaking it down, the fight down, that is, even there Inoue was better technically, but people just couldn't see it. But you're going to need some mustard on those shots. And that's what Casimero, Neri, and Tapales bring.
You know what's amazing about Inoue? That his run, right? Like if you look at the names that they threw at him, just like Manny Pacquiao, back in what I want to say 2008 to like 2010. If you look at the names that they threw in front of Inoue, from 118 to where he's at now, his last fight with Fulton, you would think this guy would have ran into a wall. No, he was just destroying these dudes. His toughest fight was the first fight against Domier. He got better from there. He clearly won that fight. And if you really look at it, I know people like to talk about the referees count. He probably could, if it was a different referee, he would have probably won by knockout. He would have probably won by stoppage in that first fight. But okay, it went the distance. It was a good fight. He broke an orbital bone, I think, in Inoue's face. And he just got better. He got better, bro. Now he's killing these dudes. And he never ran into a wall, not yet. And
but you know what's interesting?
It's reminiscent of Pacquiao's run.
Yeah, but now you're absolutely right. That you got to give him a lot of credit for going through the division like a plane going through a building. It's almost as if there was thermite plasma in that plane. I'm just saying, almost like that.
Take it easy there.
But Dark Hate though,
we're only 2 days removed from September 11.
Yeah, but we're 22. We're 22 years removed, so I think it's been enough. But Dark Haido in the chat brings up a good point. He says you can't compare Fulton to Morales. No way. That's what I'm saying about Pacquiao. That everything he did in the upper weight divisions, talking about 140, 147, and even 154, even though that was a catchweight against Margarito, that was all just icing on the cake. At featherweight, think about what he did at featherweight and super featherweight. He beat Marquez. He beat Morales. He beat Barrera. That's 3 fucking certified Hall of Famers and probably the greatest fighters of all time right there. Inoue doesn't really have that. I mean, he's done it easily against some of these top guys, but so far, I mean, he's like Crawford. It's like you look at his record, you go, he's beaten a lot of guys, but overall,
look how he beat up, like Jimmy says. Look how he handled Emmanuel Rodriguez.
Right.
Who's a solid fucking fighter. This is not a dude. He's not a bum by any stretch of the imagination. You can stretch it as long as you want, and he wouldn't be a bum. He was nothing. He was paper to Inoue.
Yeah,
got rid of him.
But the thing is that he beat the three amigos with Marquez, Morales, Pacquiao.
Yes.
Excuse me, Morales,
Right. That's
Pacquiao, and
where-
Barrera. And he didn't just do it. Look, he beat Marquez. The third fight, I thought Marquez won it, by the way. But he beat him the second. Could have gone either way. He beat Morales 2 times, stopped him, became the first guy to stop him. And Barrera, he beat him twice. But the first time he beat him, Barrera was number 3 pound for pound in a lot of people's lists. So, fuck, man, just that there alone.
Yeah,
man.
and he should have got the first fight, Pacquiao versus Marquez, but one judge scored it wrong where it should have been a 10-6 instead of a 10-7, but just neither here nor there, really.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah,
That's
the
true
thing
too.
about Inoue, for him, in my opinion, to be successful, he got to continue using the legs because that's what allowed Manny Pacquiao to be successful in and out, where he's had
That's right.
speed and enough power when he was going in and out and changing the angles. And mind you, it's not changing the angles a lot of the times like Lomachenko. He's stepping in with the ankles. He's cutting the angle coming in. So that creates momentum like Bill, right? Because you're thrusting that mass forward. It's impactful. And Pacquiao, he had the legs, allowed him to push the giants. Where I got to give him credit. He didn't want to trade with the giants shot for shot. He kept true to his boxing style. In and out, volume, but power with speed. And that's the way he got it down, keeping the giants off their axis and still hurting them.
Yep.
Yeah, Pacquiao was indeed yeah.
Yeah, I think again, what Pacquiao did after featherweight was just that could probably never be matched. But what Inoue's doing from these lower weight classes, starting from flyweight and below to go up all these weight classes and win belts, that's fucking amazing. Okay, with the exception that he skipped 112, but he might have had no choice because maybe he was just getting too big and cutting too much weight against some of the guys he would have to face there. Would have probably at that time would have been a bad move on his part.
Well, that's the thing, though, and then on top of that, you got Pacquiao beating the 3 best featherweights of the last 20 years, and then on top of that, you go up. Then afterwards, he got himself a paper title at 135. But then after he was the way he butchered David Diaz in that fight. That was
probably the most brilliant. I don't know if it's brilliant. It was just raw fucking talent that just displayed a major beatdown.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a fighter that, has made it to that type of status, David Diaz, and then just like ain't shit, like for 9 rounds until you stopped him.
Well, that's
he
the thing.
knocked him out.
Pacquiao beat that guy for the title, and then at 140 knocks out Hatton, beats stops Cotto. He beats a much bigger guy in Joshua Clottey, who was a big, strong guy, who virtually won every round. That was pretty much the same thing to Margarito. Bradley beats him 2 times, should have been 3. I mean, look at that, and that's all after way above the division he should have been fighting at. So yeah, man, I think it's safe to say that it's going to be hard for Inoue or anybody to match or surpass what Pacquiao did. But hey, hopefully somebody does it, because that way it's going to be entertaining for us. But what else was I going to talk about? So we've got those fights coming up.
Yeah. He's going to go for an Olympic gold medal, BDA. Manny Pacquiao for 2024, the Paris Games.
You know what's
That's
interesting
crazy.
about that? That when I remember in 2004, 2005, somebody was saying, hey, what if they were considering that back then, that allowing professionals to fight in the pro ranks, and somebody was saying that it wasn't going to be fair. It was going to be unfair. At the time, Hopkins was number 1 pound for pound, and somebody said, it wouldn't be fair seeing Hopkins in the amateurs. And I said, well, wait a minute. The amateurs is a completely different game, especially the Olympic level. It's all about speed for the most part. It's bang, 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 3 minutes, 3 rounds. You throw everything there in the kitchen sink. If the Khan versus Canelo fight would have been 3 rounds, Khan probably would have gotten the win in that fight. But it's not. It's a fucking pro fight. It's a war of attrition. It's a real true test. It's a marathon. Olympic boxing is a sprint. And not for nothing, but you guys saw what happened with Hassan Endam. Remember that dude? He went 12 rounds with David Lemieux, and he's the one that beat, he got 1 win over Murata. He went into the Olympics. I want to say 2016. I think he competed in the Olympics as a professional, and he lost.
Yeah, he lost. And so
Yeah,
Keyshawn
BDA.
Davis did.
No, hey BDA. It's interesting that you say it's a sprint, but at the same time, if it's a sprint, but if you get too over anxious, you make mistakes, right? And if your opponent makes you pay for them, then now you're asked out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You still
Yeah,
gotta
that's true.
you can still like be fast and quick and everything, but what if when you step to a fighter with quickness, but then he makes you pay for it? Now fuck, he starts landing on you, so it's interesting too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's not as black and white as I was making it, but the point that I'm trying to illustrate is that just because you're a professional world-class fighter doesn't mean you're going to beat all those amateurs. They could beat them in a professional fight if it's a 10, 12 rounds fight. Those guys aren't accustomed to that. But 3 rounds, that the other dude just has to in and out, fight like a fairy, and he gets the win. So it's a different proposition.
Didn't Keyshawn Davis try to do the same thing, BDA?
I don't know, man. Did he? Can anybody confirm that?
I thought he did. And that's when he lost to Andy Cruz.
I'll tell you what, though. Jalalov recently jumped on board a top rank train, and he fought a couple of weeks ago on one of the top rank cards. And a lot of people are high on him, and I certainly am. He's very tall. He's got a good pedigree. But I gotta tell you, I was rewatching the Torres fight. I was watching the Joe Joyce fight, although the Joyce fight was significantly farther away in time. I think he's got a little bit of give in him. I think he's if you push him hard enough, once you get past his reach and his one punch at a time approach doesn't work, I don't know, man. I was favoring him over Jared Anderson, but now I'm not too sure. What do you have you guys watched much Jalalov? Much of his many of his amateur fights?
A little bit.
Seen highlights, BDA. I really haven't studied this dude, but now I might do that.
Yeah, watch his fights. I think he's got a little bit of give in him, and I'm not gonna say he doesn't have that dog. Remains to be seen, but he's. I don't
He
know,
got that
man.
dog, yo. He ain't got that dog though.
He got more footwork. And by the way, I just wanted to say, I want real quick before we get back on that, with the whole Frank Martin, Shakur Stevenson thing, this is just exemplary of what Irish Andrew Ward had said a couple of weeks ago, where he said that's these young fighters, that's what it is with them now. When they ask him, hey, you want to fight this dude, this fellow undefeated fighter, and they go, that's definitely a fight that makes sense down the stretch. Oh no, what did he say? I'm losing my train of thought here. That's definitely something that could.
That's definitely a fight I'm interested in, like towards the ending of my carear,
or something like that. Yeah, that's a fight I'm looking for down the line. And then, or the other one he said is when they go, I gotta go back to my talk to my team, see what makes sense. What do you mean, see what makes sense? I mean, what makes sense is fighting the fucking best, man, down the line. Thank you, Omar. Yeah, we're definitely that's a fight that we're certainly looking forward to down the line. Oh, that's a very exciting fight down the line. Down the line, why not push to make it next? It's always down the line.
It's called the finish. It's called the finish line.
Exactly. Yeah. So this whole thing, listen, this Shakur Stevenson, Frank Martin thing. Hey, maybe there's plenty of blame to go around. I don't think so. It seems like it's more the Frank Martin side that's to blame for this. But did you really expect to go into a fight, blow the weight, hit the other guy in the balls, have no repercussions whatsoever, be associated with a guy that's been investigated by the feds, and you think people are going to be clamoring to fight you when you're not even that much of a draw yourself? I mean, come on. You can't blame
Are you talking about Shakur Stevenson?
Yeah, he's really entitled, bro. From a kid supposedly from the hood. He's really fucking entitled, bro, the way he acts.
He's really gotten a big head about himself. I don't know if it's hanging around with Terrence Crawford. He wants to share a little bit of that limelight, but his fucking fans piss me off, man. It's one of those things that Shakur, but you can do no wrong. It's like the caller earlier, man. Not a personal attack, but it's like, damn, dude, calm down, fool. You're fucking taking shit way too personal. It's just boxing, man.
I mean,
the best performance was that old school cat that he beat, kind of beat him easy. They stopped the fight. What was his name again? Fuck, man.
Jamel Herring.
Yeah, that was his best performance.
Jamel Herring didn't look like he even show up for that fight.
I tell you what, I hated that, but I'm saying that was his best performance in terms of like
Well, it's like
You
the
know,
caller said, not to mention his name because he's not here, but if he's listening, no disrespect. Yeah, he's a Marine. Okay, you can assume that he's got heart because he's a soldier. But at the same time, Marines got bad knees and a bad back from all that fucking ruck marching. And he was old, man.
And
I
he
thought you were
talked
gonna
about
say-
his bad knees too, Gonzalo. He talked
But
about
Gonzalo, see,
having
Gonzalo's
bad
army,
knees.
Gonzalo's army. So I thought he was gonna say that Marines have bad knees because they're always giving blowjobs or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if there's a I don't know if there's a fight between Marines and regular army. But Gonzalo hit the nail on. Gonzalo is right. Some of the things I've been hearing about Shakur Stevenson on Twitter, people are really sucking his dick, and I'm thinking, look, this is a guy that the only reason why I think a lot of people are on that, well, two reasons maybe. Maybe they want to jump on the bandwagon. Like because a lot of people miss the Crawford bandwagon, right? And they want to say, well, it's the same thing with Shakur Stevenson, a guy that's being avoided and eventually he's going to beat everybody. Maybe that's what they want to do. But the other thing is, I think it's the whole top rank versus PBC thing. There are people out there that really pick sides. They pick promotional companies and they ride with those promotional companies and they hate the PBC. So anything that's PBC related, they're going to shit on it and vice versa. And
It's like Republican versus Democrat, right? It's like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what do you call shit when it runs through a fan? Literally, when shit hits the fan.
I don't know.
Marine.
Oh, God, come on, man. What the fuck? That's a.
That was funny, BDA. You gotta admit it. Come on.
I mean, listen. Now we're gonna get some Navy guys calling in, telling more jokes about against the Marines, man, and then vice versa. But yeah, this whole Shakur Stevenson thing is, look, there's a lot of things that would make me weary of fighting him if I were a fighter, especially from another promotional entity.
Yeah, I'd be worried about fucking dealing with some goons if I, fucking showing up in my hotel room talking about, hey man, the best thing for you to do.
And you know what?
Take a dive.
I would certainly not bring a woman next to him. That's for sure.
No,
I would keep him away from women. And by the way, his
trying to punch my wife.
Right. I would also put in the contract. I would also put it in the contract that his mother cannot show up either at the press conference before the fight or the post fight because she tends to get very mouthy, or I don't know what she did. Her and her sister, or her daughter rather, Shakur's sister, they're the ones that started a riot after the Valdez fight. So I'm just saying, dot your T's and cross your.
I mean, listen, your Puerto Rican father could show up though. He's cool with me.
Well, that's the other thing, though. He's claiming Puerto Rican heritage, and some people, Afro Anglos, are getting upset with that, saying, "Man, the black fans that were rocking with you are never gonna forget the disrespect." I'm thinking, "Holy smokes, it's becoming extremely racial." Let him represent his Puerto Rican side if he wants to. You can sell him as the next.
He found out who his real daddy was, and he's like, "Yo, man, I'm Puerto Rican." The fuck, bro.
Yeah. His dad is Willie Lopez from the movie The Ghost. Remember?
Yeah, he does.
Gonzalo's always referencing The Ghost, man.
You want to know something, Gonzalo? As soon as he said he was Puerto Rican, I was like, "Yep, you are, bro. You got that ugly fucking mug."
Nah, come
like
on, wait
Willie
a minute.
Lopez.
Wait a minute. Listen, Never Sobers is not gonna stand for that. He's Puerto Rican, so you guys.
Hey, bro, you be talking about us like that, bro.
We got some ugly ones though. You got, I'll admit it. There's some ugly motherfuckers.
I gotta say, Mexican.
I even looked him up, man. I didn't know Willie Lopez. I think he died from AIDS, bro. Fucking the dude from the movie.
Oh,
but he does look like him.
Wait a minute. Why did you just say Gonzalo? I think he died of AIDS and recognized goes, oh yeah. Like that's common. Like there's no other possibility. It's a sure thing that he died from AIDS.
He was known. BDA, he was known as a fucking drug addict in the what was it, back in the 80s, 90s, early 90s. We would see him in the village hanging out in the field, just like fucking high as fuck.
What
him,
the fuck?
Mitch Blood Green was another one. A dope head. They were all dope addicts, man.
Really? You never told us that.
Hell yeah, everybody knows too. From that was hanging out around that time. Oh look, you remember the guy that fought Tyson, Blood Green? Look at him, and he was just always high, big as fuck, but always high. Like I'm surprised he didn't fuck Tyson up. How big this dude was.
I remember when Lou Deval, you remember he was training Badu Jack at some point? I don't know if he's still training him. And he was in the corner, and his voice, he sounds like a crackhead now. It's like, hey man, you gotta keep throwing them shots. And I remember somebody said, somebody in the chat, we were watching one of his fights live, or one of Badu Jack's fights live or something. One guy goes, he's gonna disappear. You know, he's in between rounds. You see him, and then from one round to the next, he's not in the corner anymore. And somebody said he stole the gear to sell it and get some money for some crack or something like that.
BDA, you know what's crazy? This dude, Lou Deval, was like a legend where I grew up at. He's from Long Island City. He's from Queensbridge. So like him making it, I mean, I didn't hang out with the dude. I didn't know him like, you know, I knew him, but I didn't know him like that. I just never saw a drug addict, a dude turning like him being a drug addict one day. But you know, it happened. I'm not saying he is. Well, hold on. I'm not saying he's a drug. I'm just saying people were saying that he sounded like one. No, he's a drug addict, bro. He is.
Really?
Come on, man.
That's too bad, man.
That voice, man. What do you think he's doing?
He sounds. He's. You know what? He looks. Well, he probably is older than Teofimo Lopez Sr., right?
Lou Deval, I'm gonna say is. I'm 50. I'm gonna say he's about 54, 55.
Hey, you know what? You guys were talking about old stories from the hood. It reminds me of this movie called Q&A from 1990. They used to show it on HBO, and you got Armand Asante, who's as Italian as it gets, and he's playing some like a Puerto Rican drug lord or something. It's just his acting is really good, man. The accent doesn't really sound Puerto Rican, but you be the judge.
19 years old. And your ass was grass, man. And he waited in there with lead pipe, and he saved your ass, and now you're gonna deny him over his dead body?
Hold on, let me
90 seconds.
Ah, shut up. Fuck, I hate when the 90-second thing happens. Bust my ears open, man. Come on now.
Yeah, you fucking coward. Tony loved you like a brother, man. He worked for you since then.
Hey! Fucking honey drip, bro. You know, we know you was a punk then, but you'll be in a punk now. Yeah, detective.
By the way, I couldn't manage pulling off that haircut, man. That's a fucking epic haircut right there.
He's not pulling it off either, BDA.
Nah, come on.
BDA still has a haircut at 6.
Hey, yeah, full disclosure, that's what I look like, man. I look exactly like this dude.
That's what BDA looks like right now. Right this second.
You know, you got a badge and a gun, but you're still a punk, so shut the
Bobby,
fuck
please.
up. Shut up, shyster. I'm talking here now.
Yo, you
right?
finished, Bobby Tex. You over and finished, all right?
Yeah.
The baddest guy is me, because I'm the law. In this case, it's rap, man.
What the fuck? By the way, this dude, what's his name? Guzman, the actor? He's really fucking short. If you notice, I think to make him look like to reduce the height disparity, I think they got Armand Asante standing a little more to the background. So that he looks short.
No?
I don't think so. Well, I don't know. How tall is Armand Asante? He's
probably standing on a phone book, bro.
1.78 meters. How much is that in feet?
That's like 5'9", I think.
Okay, so yeah, but Guzman is. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right, Gonzalo. God damn, you're good. About 5'8", 5'9". Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Why do we start talking about fucking Armand Asante and Puerto Rican drug? Oh, because of Lou Deval. Yeah, Lou Deval. Whatever. Anything else you guys want to touch on? I think we're ready to wrap it up here. That's a big no.
I want to know when that clown show is gonna happen. Tyson Fury versus that African dude.
That's gonna be taking place on November. Around November, I think.
I mean, because when I think about heavyweight boxing, I think about a guy who's had a professional career versus in boxing, and a guy who hasn't. That's what I call a fight.
Oh, come on. Now, wait a minute. Don't shit on that fight. It's a big event. That's how they're selling it. It's a big event. By the way, did you guys see... Well, hold on. Gonzalo, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say the Yugas versus the other two Barrios and and Mono Ramos, those are all happening on the undercard of Canelo?
Yes.
I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Those are good fights too.
Yeah, I think Ramos probably is gonna stop Lubin. I mean, that's all he does. The guy, he gets stopped whenever he loses, and Ramos is a big puncher, so you would expect that. You would expect that. I wanted to say something real quick. We didn't touch on this. On the undercard of that fight, on the undercard of the Fury fight, there's gonna be these British guys fighting, these British heavyweights, and you guys have had your share of street fights. I certainly haven't because people just don't step up to me that way. But this dude, I think this guy's Fabio Wardley. Yeah, this guy, I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm sharing the screen here with you. Fabio Wardley, this guy with the cap. He's going to be taking on David Adeleye, whatever. And there was a fight that occurred, a skirmish that occurred during this press conference. So check this out. Hold on a second. Hold on. It's fucking lagging. No, excuse me. This is a shitty angle that doesn't catch what I wanted to show you. But okay, but the guy that pushed him, that's one of his opponents. That's his opponent, right? So
he drops him, right?
Yeah, I mean, but it's somebody. That's somebody the other thing. Somebody dropped him. What the fuck is this? Somebody dropped him.
Somebody jumped him. Somebody from his entourage punched him out.
But look at how he fucking. Let's see if this is it.
Yeah, I think this is it. He was already on the floor. BDA, you got to go back.
Yeah, he's already knocked out.
Right here, boom, right there. Did you see him?
No, I didn't see it though.
No, I didn't see.
Fuck?
Look, he comes in right now. Bam! He just got hit right there.
Nah, but there's a better
Here
angle
he comes.
though. There's
there is. We can actually see the fist smacking him.
There's a better angle, and Hatman strikes back. I think he has a video, or is he talking over it? Oh, okay.
Wait, who got knocked out?
Okay, here I think it's from, I think Fight Hub had it, a better angle. Fuck, who had the better angle, man?
I did.
Who got dropped? Wardley or Adderley?
Wardley.
I
think it's Fight. I
Wardley's
think Fight
the guy
Hub.
in black. He's the guy in black.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is. So you see him. Let me give you the play-by-play. That's him here on the left, right? There. You saw that? Let me slow it down. Look at how he's a professional boxer, and he got dropped by some dude that I hope is a boxer too. Look at this. So look, keep your eye on the guy here in the middle. See that dude here behind the bouncer or whatever? He's got the beige shirt, right? Okay. Keep your eye on him.
Oh.
See that? But the punch looked so sloppy, and like he was pushing it, and the other guy's just jumping in.
Yeah, because he went in there with reckless abandonment of. The guy in the black, was he charging towards him and then he punched him out?
He was charging towards someone, but there's another angle where they're saying he tripped over something and got hit on the way down.
Yeah, that could happen too in a fight. Especially when you're brawling, there's a lot of people.
He's kind of tangled up over those
you're right.
ribbons, whatever they call.
You're right. There's those velvet things there or whatever. Yeah, you're right. Look at that. Yeah, there's a pipe flying in the air there over the. Yeah, you're right.
But either way, he got hit on the way down. That was a good aim.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Hey, look.
When you're fighting in a crowd, you never charge in. You don't charge in. You got to do the in and out, like fucking Pacquiao, bop bop bop, and get out. That's what you got to do.
The way he fell though, you got to do it's funny.
If you hit the floor, man, they'll stomp you out, man.
That's embarrassing, bro.
It's embarrassing too. Yeah, that's another thing.
Well, I mean, look, he's got the excuse of the tripping up now. Okay, I get it, but he still ended up getting hit in the face.
Yeah,
he still got. You know what I mean? That had nothing.
He was bleeding afterwards.
That's the thing. Yes, he was bleeding. So that punch.
He probably would fuck that dude up in a straight up fight. But when you coming at him, and you just kind of like charging towards him, he has, you can see he has like time to throw his punch in between his rage. Like trying to grab him, whatever the fuck he was trying to do.
You put Andy Ruiz in the middle of all those dudes, he knocks a bunch of those dudes out.
Yeah,
yeah.
He would. He's
right,
a nightmare to fight, bro. Like if you're a bouncer, bro, he's a nightmare. Those fucking counter puncher fat dudes with fast hands and they got power. They're just nightmares, man.
That's true, man, because he's got the mass, so you can't really move him. And then on top of it, he hits quickly. And he's got that Canelo lean back counter with the left hook thing going on. Or he'll lean back and spring.
I have a friend like that. The guy wasn't like a boxer or anything like that. I mean, he competed in some bullshit stuff when he was a kid. And he just did it, and he was just naturally good. But he was a heavy set dude. But he had fast hands, bro. And all it took was one punch. And then on top of that, he's fast. He just laid dudes out. Like two at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, man. That's how these fatsos with quick hands and power can do it, man. Well, listen.
I'm so confident. The guy, I know what's gonna happen. You're gonna hit me a couple times, but when I hit you, you're gonna be out. That's exactly what happened, man.
That's the mentality that I have whenever people try to study on the rare occasion anyone tries to step up to me.
Reminds me of you. You didn't let me finish.
All right. I think that's enough right there. Reckon it's being sarcastic here. But listen, we gotta move on. We gotta move on. We gotta call it a night. It's been a long night. But hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. Let me see if I forget any super chats. Sometimes I tend to forget. People have to remind me, like, hey, my super chat, fucko. No, I didn't forget anything. Okay, good. Everything's on. I've been on top of everything. Guys, I want to thank Never Sobers, Gonzalo, recognized for jumping in. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Everybody that donated the super chat. There you go, man. Everybody that was in the chat. I'm talking about SSC, Knockout Ned, the Chitlin Distributor, Ultra Instinct, Eparokua, Warp Speed. Who else? I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Listen, at the end of the when it's a long night like this, I gotta go back to the chat. So if I forget anybody, Harp Janda, Omar Sinclair, Timothy Figueroa, Parokua, Jack Marshall, Handsome Mechanic, Alejandro Solis, Warped Speed, Joker's Wild, Marty McFly, these fucking names, Gerald Draymond, Warp Speed, Windy City. You guys know who you are. I mean, and then the people that call in. Yeah, and then the people that call in, we've got Fire Fist, fisting. We got Booty Juice and DP. Those are the guys with the dirtiest names. I mean, come on, man. We're gonna get Gaping Asshole one day. I mean, come on.
It's coming. Listen, it's coming.
Yeah, don't hold. I mean, hold your breath because it's coming. Well, listen, shout out to all of you guys again. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you on the next one, fellas. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in everyone.